Hello, everyone. It's Jen here with a fun little side project that I've been working on for a while. This is a slideshow overview of Superstar Percent speedrunning for Mario Superstar Baseball for the Nintendo GameCube, and also a guide to completing star missions quickly or otherwise. I will be giving speed advice where it's relevant, but mostly this is just a way to understand how to clear the missions of Mario Superstar Baseball. I'm going to start with some like basic principles to sort of like guide your understanding of the game. In general, what you're going to want to be doing is playing the game in order to get better at it. And second to that is watching the game, but then this will be useful as a supplement for when you are playing the game or watching the game to understand a little bit what's going on. It's not always very clear from the game itself. So first of all, playthrough difficulty matters. You can see this from the menus, but basically there's a certain required difficulty level for all the different missions. When in doubt, just play on special because every goal is clearable on special, but basically all the captains have a goal that can only be cleared on special, and every character in the game has a goal that can only be cleared on star or special. So keep that in mind. If you're not clearing goals, that might be the reason why. Next, when you forfeit a match, you forfeit all goal progress that you made during that match. So if you had something that you liked happen during a match, play it out. Even if that just means repeatedly throwing, hit by pitch balls into the computer until you're 10 runs behind to instantly lose the match by mercy rule, that is a way to get out of the match relatively quickly while also retaining your progress. If you pause and exit the match, nothing that you did during that match will count. It's as if you never even played it. So be careful about that. Plan ahead and avoid collisions. So basically, in a couple of cases, there's like targeted goals, right, that require you to do things against certain batters or certain pitchers. Usually it's Mario or Luigi. But you want to be careful about recruiting characters. You don't want to recruit a character that another character needs to play against in order to achieve one of their goals. And that can affect the order that you do your playthroughs matches in. If you're following the speedrun routes, that's kind of already accounted for, but it's just something to think about. Recruitment isn't always best because some opponents, especially Mario, can be very helpful for accomplishing star missions. So just remember, if you don't win the match, you never recruit your opponents. So if you want to keep playing against an opponent, just don't win the match. Tie or a draw or losing the match, you're going to be safe and you're not going to recruit your opponents. So and you can see that in all superstars, where I repeatedly lose matches against Mario just because I love playing against Mario so much. So just remember that. You don't have to recruit your opponents. Just be careful not to win. Minigames are limited. You have 3 attempts of each per playthrough. So you can't do all of the minigame missions in one playthrough, even if you wanted to. But still, and also something that you should know is that you should just save before you play a minigame. And if you don't like what happened, hold B, X, and start. If you hold B, X, and start for 2 seconds, that will reset your console without you even needing to get out of your chair. And yeah, just save and play until you get a result you like, and then save that. It's totally legitimate. I do it all the time, especially in all superstars. So goal names are often misleading, right? Bowser Jr. back-to-back home runs with Bowser. They don't have to be back-to-back. They only need to be in the same match. Reach first base on a bunt with the bases empty. The bases do not have to be empty. In fact, the bases can even be full. So the goal descriptions are not always the best, and in one case the goal is actually like mislabeled, was like actively wrong. I'll go over that a little bit later, but just understand that there's more to these missions than meets the eye. Color variants share and pool their goals. This is most notable for Koopa 3 hit, Noki 3 plates, and Bro 2 home runs in one game, which is, with those cumulative goals, all the different color variations of that character contribute their hits or strikeouts or home runs or whatever it is to a shared pool. And if the total of that pool is high enough, then the goal will be cleared. So in the case of Bro 2 home runs, if Fire Bro gets a home run, and then later on in the match, Boomerang Bro gets a home run, that's it. You did it. If it's the same match, right? That's 2 home runs in one game because there were 2 Bro home runs in one game. It doesn't have to be the same Bro. And that can be helpful, especially for Noki 3 plates, which is really, really irritating if you don't have 3 Nokis. But with 3 Nokis, it's pretty easy. Some Shama items help a lot, especially the Power Bat and the Dash Spikes. The Buddy Emblem is also nice, but you need to win a match against Bowser Jr. in your current playthrough in order for the Buddy Emblem to be available, and it's not always necessary, depending on how hard you're focusing on a particular character. So just remember that the Power Bat is really good, the Nice Bat, not very nice actually. The Dash Spikes are really good, they help on both offense and defense, and the other items are pretty much never worth it. with one very minor exception that I might go over later. Push and pull hitters and charge speeds. So something that you want to keep in mind is that the different characters sometimes have different stats when it comes to whether they prefer to push the ball away and hit the ball opposite of the side of the plate that they are on. So, a righty batter who is on the left side of the plate might want to push the ball to right field, which is the opposite of the side of the plate that they are on. Technique characters are usually push hitters. Power characters are usually pull hitters. That's not an absolute rule, but it's always correct if you try to push as technique characters and pull as power characters. There's never a situation in which following that rule is a bad idea, so I recommend it. And with charge speeds, power characters tend to take a little bit longer to reach full charge. If you pay very close attention to like the yellow sort of energy values of a character as they're charging, this is a way of understanding that. DK, for example, takes a very long time to reach full charge. And there are also a few characters, I'm pretty sure they're technique characters, that charge extra fast, like Dixie Kong. So that's something to keep in mind too, is that characters take different amounts of time to reach full power. You want to keep that in mind as you bat. Mash A and B to dash on the base paths. This is especially important for body check, which will only activate if you are dashing at full speed. You don't actually need to mash all that fast in order to get the full benefit of mashing a button while you dash, but you really should be doing it because it will very often make the difference between making it safe to the plate versus getting out. Mashing B to dash while fielding is also really important. It can be the difference between making that wall catch versus not, or making that big play or not. It does sort of like commit your movement, so you need to be careful if you need to like do angled movement or curve or anything like that, but it's something that comes with muscle memory, so just remember to do it, though. It's the main thing. Unfortunately, jumping and diving are bound to the same button, which is the A button. But if you want to do a jump, stand still and even give your character a little bit of time to come to a halt before you start the jump. That is the best way to guarantee that you will get a jump rather than a slide. It doesn't always work, but that's what you're supposed to do. And for dashing, make sure that you're holding a particular direction when you press A, and ideally are also dashing. That will help. So, chemistry. The characters have sort of relationships with each other. If those are positive relationships and they are throwing to each other in the field, and the person who you're throwing to isn't the cutoff player, you will get a boost to the speed of that throw. That can be very important, especially if you're fielding missions like Big Play or Peach Daisy Double Play. For batting, if you're doing a tap A hit, chemistry increases the size of your good contact zones, so it makes it easier to get nice and perfect contact. If you are doing a charged swing, chemistry helps hit the ball harder and therefore farther, which is better for slugging missions. Which is why I'm going to be saying very many times later on, if you're doing a slugging mission, make sure there's as much chemistry for the batter as possible. Star chances are available on every plate appearance other than the very first plate appearance of the match if the bases are empty at the start of that plate appearance, and it is a 30% chance if so. It is a 0% chance if there are any base runners at the beginning of a plate appearance. Also, both teams can't have full stars. If both teams have 5 stars, the chance of a star chance is 0%. So if you're ever in that situation and you need to do get a team star mission, just to spend one of your stars real quick. Because at 4 or 5, then it will do star chances, right? It's just both teams can't be full. Extending matches. If a match is tied, it can go up to 3 extra innings past what it was originally scheduled to be. You need to be a little bit careful about that in terms of not allowing a run after you've gotten the score tied at the top of the inning. But if you're at 2 ton catches and you just really, really want that third one and the match is about to end, consider trying to extend the match and allowing runs to put the score to a tie if you're ahead, just so the match doesn't end before you want it to. And then also keep in mind that losing matches intentionally is often the optimal way to proceed. For Wario's Captain Run, the Wario Greats, he has a match that is optimal to lose. And it's also just sometimes it's the fastest way to proceed. It depends on whether or not you even care about speed in the first place, but just remember it's legitimate. But be careful not to forfeit. Next, some pro tips. So when you're determining your roster order, you want to keep in mind the effect that your roster order is going to have in terms of batting missions and also MVP missions. So for slugging missions, you want your characters like around fourth in the lineup with chemistry in front of them if possible. You want them towards the top of the lineup so that they have more opportunities to bat. And for MVP manipulation, you want your MVP to be in the fourth position because as long as you're not hitting home runs, you never score before your MVP has a chance to, or you got 3 straight outs, in which case you can reset the match. Basically, the position 4 is the magic spot for if you're really trying to prioritize a character's offense missions and MVP mission if they have one. And just, yeah, also keep in mind the effect to which batting chemistry is going to factor in. Aiming shots with the control stick. So you can see a little bit of this in barrel batter, but it applies in like actual baseball matches also. If you hold up on the control stick, that means a higher probability of the ball going low trajectory down towards the ground. If you hold down on the control stick, that means a higher probability of the ball going up and potentially out of the stadium, ideally. Which is why if you're doing slugging missions or trying to hit the note block as Toadette, you should hold down on the control stick for better odds of getting the ball to go high. That actually also applies left and right. Unlike in barrel batter, when you're playing barrel batter, left and right on the control stick don't make a difference. But when you're playing actual baseball, holding left on the control stick makes it slightly likelier that the ball will go to the left, and holding right makes it slightly likelier that the ball will go to the right. And that can make a big difference. So I would say experiment with that to get a sense of which directions you like to swing as with which batters. Non-captain star swings can be very, very powerful, especially line drive, but pop fly can also be very good, especially if you take advantage of a secret technique that the competitive community has developed in order to take advantage of that star swing. I'll go over this more a little bit later. But also the pre-item captain star swings are also very good. Waluigi's is the line drive, and then a whole bunch of other characters have pop fly, but just keep in mind, those only cost 1 star, and they can be very powerful. The star pitches are kind of lame, but the star swings, pretty good sometimes. They're very useful for, more consistent batting. Fake squeeze and fake home. You can credibly threaten your base runner on third base to run home to distract the computers while your base runners move from home plate to first or first to second, is the best way that I would describe that. So you distract the computer by sending your runner on third to home, and then make sure you're pressing Y and X with the correct directions at the correct time to make sure that you don't accidentally send that runner to home where they will inevitably be tagged out. And then, yeah, that's just something that you might notice in runs that people doing is like squeezing out a little bit of a extra basage by threatening to go home and then backing off because the computer doesn't actually punish you for doing that. Bunt luring. When you hold B to bunt, your character like holds the bat out, right? Third base and first base creep forward towards home plate, anticipating the bunt, which actually puts them in a better position for you to hit the ball past them with a slap hit. So this is something that you'll see runners do is hold bunt, and then as the pitch is coming, they'll release bunt and then just hit it like normal. But they've managed to lure first base and third base into a worse fielding position and will very often get the ball past them, whereas if they hadn't done the bunt luring, it wouldn't have worked and they would have been caught out easily. So an important technique and really important to get into your muscle memory. Any percent cyclical bunting. This is a very complicated, but you'll notice it especially if you watch any percent speedrunning, which is if you steal at the right time and bunt carefully and then control your base running very carefully, you can trick the computer into thinking that they can get you out at home or second base when they can't, thus leaving it possible for your base runners to be completely safe. It's very tricky. It's not perfectly consistent, but it's pretty consistent compared to the alternatives. So it's very much worth learning. I'm not going to go into the super complicated details here, but you can ask me about it if you're more interested in the specifics. MVP manipulation, go ahead run. So something important that you should know is that the MVP formula is point-based, it is additive, and there is a bypass. If a character is the only pitcher who played for that team as the pitcher, and there were no switches from game setup, and they throw a no-hitter or perfect game, they're always the MVP. It bypasses the formula entirely. No matter how they did batting, they will be the MVP. Otherwise, you get points added for doing things like getting a hit, which is 1, driving in a run, which is 3 points, getting a big play, which is 5 points, getting a strikeout, which is 3 points, stealing a base, which is 1 point, or hitting a home run, which gives you 10 extra points on top of the 1 for the hit and the 3 for the run that you drive in, plus 3 more for any other runs that you drove in. There's also a bonus for driving in the run that puts you in the lead. If the score is 0-0, the first player on your team to score a run or to drive in the run is going to get 10 points if they reached first base on the play, or 5 points if they were out before reaching first base on the play, like if it was a sacrifice fly or a squeeze bunt in which they were thrown out at first, for example. But those points can make the difference. You really want them to go towards your targeted MVP. You really do not want them going towards anyone else. And if you really want to, there are tricky ways that you can see in, I think, the Yoshi IL to avoid awarding the MVP bonus entirely. That's complicated stuff we won't go into. But just remember, the points matter, and they really add up. So definitely keep that in mind. Assigning fielding positions is important because some positions are just way better or way worse for specific fielding missions than others. Left field and right field are way better for wall catch than center field, for example. And then if you're not in the outfield for wall catch, what are you doing? But even for stuff like big play and jumping catch, you just want to keep in mind the effect that fielding positions will have. And you also want to keep fielding chemistry in mind, especially for things like laser beam. You want to make sure that your laser beamer has chemistry on the catcher position to increase your odds of having the outcome that you want. Stored charges for CPU batters. When the CPU charges their swing and they miss or get a foul ball or whatever, every other batting swing that they do at that same plate appearance is going to be treated as a charged swing, even if they don't charge again. And that can be really bad because you don't want them to make contact on a charged swing when you weren't expecting it and kill you. So something that you can do is pause and unpause the game. That will clear the charge. The game should be clearing the charge. It's a bug, right? But as it happens, if you pause and unpause the game, which you can do between pitches, that will clear the charge. So the glitch is annoying, but you never have to suffer from it as long as you're willing to invest a second. So there you go. Pitching to contact is very important because it's the only way to get fielding missions done, right? So you want to, throw a ball. I like to throw the ball more inside because that usually results in worse hit quality, but also it just kind of depends on how the computer is feeling. And you need to be comfortable throwing pitches that are going to get a hit, but ideally not a home run. And that's tricky, but it comes with practice, especially if you're paying attention. So something to think about. Safe pitching. Safe is in quotation marks because there is no such thing as safe pitching. The computer will hit the ball if it wants to. But the best overall strategy in a vacuum for getting a strikeout is uncharged pitch deep inside for a ball. Careful not to hit them, but you probably want to get close to hitting them, You want it to be a completely unhittable ball, called as a ball. Then, fully charged pitch outside, as far out on the mound as you can, away from the batter. Throw a fully charged pitch. There's no need to curve it at that point. And likely, it will be within the strike zone, and they will not hit it. You do that 3 times. You just repeat that same strategy of deep inside ball, charged outside strike 3 times, and that is the most consistent way to strike the computer out. You can't really do better than that. But like I said, the computer will hit the ball if it wants to, so don't feel too down. Recognizing intent to star swing. Computer will star swing if there are 2 runners, or if there's a runner on third. That's like a precondition for them wanting to star swing at all. Usually. There are a couple of other niche situations, but I'm not going to go into the full details right now. But you might also know that they're thinking about star swing if they're letting pitches go by without moving and they're not charging their swings at all, especially if they're power characters who love to charge their swings. That should be a hint that it's like, okay, there's probably a star swing coming. And that might even be good if they have a bad star swing, but it might be bad, especially if they have a pop fly and it will just kill you. Because their pop fly star swings, for whatever reason, just clear the field easily. Whatever. But there you go. Know what you're dealing with and why the computer might be reacting strangely as the batter. It might be based on the situation that you're in and them having team stars. They're also more likely to want to star swing the more stars that they have. If they have 4 or 5 stars, it's pretty likely. When you have 1 or 2 stars, it's not that likely, even if the conditions are met. So there you go. When and how to hit by pitch the CPU. You want to have a pitcher with a very high curve. Pretty much every team has at least one character with high curve. Yoshi, you have Baby Luigi, which is honestly not very good. But every other team has someone who can do it relatively easily. And you want to just hit them with the ball, Start as inside of the mound as you can, and then just hold the ball in the direction of the batter, and you will probably hit them. In a couple of cases, you might actually send the ball completely behind the back of the batter, in which case, okay, don't go that extreme if you're pitching as like Boo or Waluigi or something, but there you go. You want to just hit them with the ball and curve the pitch. Do not charge that pitch if you are trying to hit by pitch. Managing a Mercy Rule lead, the way that the Mercy Rule works is at the end of an inning that is not the final inning of the match or extra innings, if you have a 10-run lead, you will win and instantly recruit all recruitable opponents. So you want to get 10 or more runs ahead and then close out the bottom of the inning without allowing any runs, ideally. And then you will win by Mercy Rule. But you probably want to use safe pitching and maybe even get a run or two of insurance so that if you get that random red Koopa home run, then at least that will make the score 111 rather than 110, and then you have to play another inning. Something to consider. Replays and victory dances will happen if your score is within 4 of the computer at the end of the play. If you're 5 or more apart, you will not get a replay or victory dance. So if you end the play with them 0 runs and you 4 runs, you will get a replay and you will also get a victory dance if the batter is on base. If you are 0-5, there will not be a replay or a victory dance. So all things being equal, if you can end a play 5 runs ahead rather than 4 runs ahead, that will save you a little bit of time on balance. So something, just a little thing. Let's talk about star swings. So these are not the captain star swings, the fireball, the boomerang ball, the weird ball, the killer ball. Those are mostly bad and not really all that relevant except when you have to use them for star missions. But these are the other ones, right? Magic Koopas, line drives, and the other characters that have live drive also are really, really effective at getting base hits. I would say they work like 90-95% of the time, which for batting is amazing. Contact quality still matters for those, so still aim for perfect contact. But these really make a difference, and they're honestly not that expensive. They're a very good use of team stars. And so I have a list of all the characters who have the line drive star swing, the Magic Koopas, all 4 of them, Pre-Item Waluigi, Toadsworth, whose bat is a little bit small, but his line drive star swing is just as good as anybody else's. Green Noki, Green Giant Bones, and Green Paratroopa also have it. Boomerang Bro also have it, but his super curve kind of makes line drive worse. So I don't actually recommend using line drive as Boomerang Bro all the time. It's just noticeably not as good as the ones that don't have super curve applied to them. Now, with Pop Fly, ordinarily the way that you would use this is, you've got a runner on third and you're going for that typical sacrifice fly where your runner is tagging up and is just going to manage to beat the ball to home plate, even if it's thrown from the outfield, with all of the heart in the outfielder's heart behind that throw. There is actually a weird kind of combination of a glitch with the numbers for batting kind of having a missing sign or whatever, not being symmetrical or whatever, characters bat differently lefty versus righty. And then also the math works out such that if you have a pop fly star swing and you get really bad contact on the inside of your bat, you will hit the ball to midfield every time. It will land between the outfield and the infield. It's a near 100% success rate, assuming that you don't hit a stadium obstacle or whatever. It's incredibly consistent, but you have to hit them with a right-handed batter, and it needs to be the very inside of the bat, practically hitting the ball with the hands that are holding the bat. It does not work from the outside of the bat. You have to get bad contact on purpose. That's why it's sour, right? As opposed to sweet spot contact. You actually want the sour spot because a right-handed batter with sour contact using the pop fly star swing will get a base hit pretty much every time, assuming that you executed correctly. Now, characters that can do this. Red Pianta and Red Koopa are the best for doing this. Their bats are nice and long, and they have really good numbers just for getting the result that you want. Black and Red Shy Guy, also pretty good. And then if you haven't bought the items for Mario, Daisy, Birdo, Bowser, Bowser Jr., and Wario, they can also do this. DK is just bad because his trimmed bat makes it very difficult to get the right kind of contact. You'll probably get better contact, which is worse because you'll be caught out on a fly ball. King Boo and Petey are actually too strong, and that makes this glitch not very helpful for them. They should just slug instead. Purple and Red Toad Red Drybones and Red Noki can do the glitch, but their short bats are so short that the range that you need to actually hit the ball is pretty small. So it's just tough to get the glitch to work. So a little bit of a bummer for them, but I would say for them, it's not worth it. And then for Hammer Bro, it's the same as DK. The trimmed bat is bad because it's very difficult to get terrible contact with the trimmed bat, just because the area that you're hitting with is so small to begin with. Getting something precise within that is just very difficult. Everybody who's not listed on this has Grounder, which is very situational and mostly useless, as I explain on the slide. So there you go. Sometimes, for like a sacrifice hit to score if it makes a difference. But there you go. Team Swap. Team Swap is very cool. The way that it works is you hold the R button and start scrolling. You hold the control stick left or right to scroll rapidly. And the captain who you move to first will stay, and the character who you land on when you release the control stick will also be applied. And basically, the one who you move to first will be in the overworld, and the one that you landed on later will have their team preloaded into the game setup, or the other way around. There's videos about Team Swap that explain this in a little bit better detail, but hold R and scroll weirdly on Challenge Captain Select, and you will get this glitch. The glitch is currently not allowed in Captain Runs and All Superstars. It is allowed in the individual level Superstar % speed runs, and it is used in many of them to powerful effect. In fact, using Team Swap, you can get one match Toadette IL, which I've now managed to do. It was very hard, but I was able to pull it off. And you would not be able to do one match Toadette without Team Swap. So it's a fun glitch to know. Like I said, it's not terribly useful. The glitch is canceled if you played Bowser Jr. before playing a real match on baseball, just because of the way that like the game preloading your roster works and Junior bypasses it. It's complicated to explain, but yeah, just don't make Junior your first thing if you're trying to use Team Swap. And also keep in mind that like characters will persist because the memory spots for your active roster and your roster and game setup screens is different. But if you end a match with a character not recruited and not in play, you will lose access to them. And you also can have characters recruit themselves, which is really funny. You can also keep your real captain on the bench. You can't remove them once they're in, but you can just never add them. And then if you don't like playing as Wario, you team swap, I don't know, the Sunshines or whatever, onto Wario's team. And now you can have the Mario Sunshines with whatever Greats players that you want and no Wario, for example. Something to remember is that the swapped characters, the ones who are imported from the non-overworld captain, can't buy their star items or play minigames because they are not considered unlocked or recruited. And you do actually need to be unlocked or recruited in order to purchase star items or play minigames. So that's very important for routing purposes. The glitch doesn't speed up or in any way affect Peach Round Up Everyone because it doesn't give you proper unlock progress. You're still going to need to win, essentially, 4 Mercy Rule games in order to clear that goal, or do a lot more recruiting. So it doesn't actually make much of a difference there. It doesn't make any difference there, actually. And you always have access to your Overworld Captain's default team. You just need to add them back to your roster, and then maybe you just leave the match immediately, depending on what you're trying to do. But yeah, there you go. Swapped characters do clear defeat Peach or defeat Bowser Jr. if they are on the roster for that match, though. You might think that that would be based on whether or not they were unlocked, but actually that's not what it checks. It checks whether or not they were in the match. So you do at least get credit for those. And it's mostly only useful for speedruns, and even then it's mostly only useful for ILs in any percent. So now let's start talking about the individual missions and my recommended advice for clearing them as efficiently as possible. So smack a hit or get more than X hits in a game. Something that's really important to clarify is that when the game says more than, it pretty much always means at least. So steal a base more than 2 times in a game, you clear that by stealing twice. It's really stupid. They definitely used the wrong wording as far as I'm concerned, but that's basically what that means. And over on the left is a table of the characters who have this goal and how many, in this case, hits they need in order to clear it. Daisy, Waluigi, and Koopa, it's 3. Yoshi, Wario, and Boo, it's 2. And then a whole bunch of characters have 1 hit, but that's trivial, so I assume that you will be able to manage this. Worst case scenario, put them at the top of your lineup and reset if you don't get it on the first plate appearance. But in general, especially for the characters with 3 hits, put them at the top of the lineup so that you have to bat as little as possible to get them the opportunities they need. Slapping is usually more efficient than charging, just in terms of getting a hit. You want to do this on empty bases if you can, because fielders' choices can cause the game to not treat something as a hit. And actually, all runners, if any, must advance at least 1 base. So you can't just have a runner who is on second start running for third and then run back to second. If you do that, the batter's hit will not count. So make sure that your runners are advancing at least 1 base, and try not to create situations in which the scoring would get weird, because those could invalidate the hit. Bunts can count as hits, and that will be important later, but not if there is stealing during the pitch, pressing the Y button during the pitch. Don't press the Y button if you are trying to get a hit. It's that simple. The captain star swings are usually very bad just because they're very random. And I know that the regular batting is random too, but the captain batting randomness is very difficult to deal with. Although Waluigi before he has the eggplant is very good. And then Red Koopa and pre-item Daisy and Wario can use that glitch that I mentioned earlier, where if they're right-handed and hit the ball with their hands, very deep inside contact, it'll go to midfield and they'll get a pretty consistent base hit, which is pretty good. And also, yes, if you're playing as DK and you still have your 2 Koopas on your roster, they pool their hits for the purposes of 3 hits, which is important. Makes the goal a lot easier. You can even get it done going at full speed at that point. So here's something that I was wrong about. I thought that crack a long hit was actually based on the distance that the ball traveled. It is not. The way that crack a long hit actually works is it is hit a double. That is actually factually what the goal is. People have looked into the code to see that this is the case. So you have to advance 2 or more bases. The distance is relevant, and all runners, if there are any runners, must also advance 2 bases, which means if you had a runner on second, they must score. If you had a runner on first, they must reach third base. So again, any sort of hit requirement or base requirement that the batter needs to hit, the runners also need to hit. Beware errors in fielders' choices. They can make things complicated and cause things to not count. A home run will clear this goal automatically and is highly recommended. As you can see, there are 4 characters where I'm like, these guys need to hit here home runs, so they don't actually have to worry about this goal at all. It's essentially only a goal for Dixie and Koopa. And it is not a goal for Paragoomba, who apparently has crack a long hit, but if you might notice and pay attention, that goal is only cleared when Paragoomba crosses home plate. That is what that goal actually is. So ignore the game is wrong. The mission that Paragoomba actually has in this slot is cross home plate. So he does not have to hit a double. He does have to drive in 3 runs for another one of his goals, but that's not what it is. Charge swings are actually a little bit better here, just because you need to hit 2 bases, and slaps usually get fielded pretty quickly. So there you go. And then dash spikes can be very helpful, just because faster base running movement will always help. Belt either a triple or a home run is relatively simple. You need to either get a triple or a home run. All non-batter runners must score. It's just an extension of the same principle, right? Which is any amount of bases that the batter has to do, all runners must do. Beware errors in fielders' choices. With dash spikes, a charged hit to deep right field is generally pretty good. Which means as Yoshi, who is a left-handed batter by default, you would want to swing early to pull the ball towards right field. And then if the ball is going to right field, that gives you as much time as possible to reach third base. You could also do power bat and good chemistry on base with a pitcher who's relatively easy to hit balls against to try and go for a home run outright. That is another solid way to finish this. Yoshi is not very strong, but it can work. The egg ball is not very good. You can get triples off of it, and I suppose if you really wanted to, you could just reset a match over and over with the egg ball to try and get a triple, but it is not recommended. I find that it's pretty inefficient, and you're pretty much going to want to go for a charged swing, either out of the park entirely or to right field as the best way to get a triple. Now for some home run goals. So Bowser's interesting in that he has 2 home run related goals, which is he needs to get 2 home runs in one game, and he also needs to hit a grand slam. So there you go. Mario also needs to hit a grand slam. Donkey Kong and the Bros also need to get 2 home runs in one game, and then Birdo, King Boo, Petey, Pianta, and Toad need to hit a home run. But the principle behind this is always the same. You want to load the bases with chemistry. You want to charge your swing and aim for perfect contact. You want to buy a power bat, and you ideally want to be batting against Wario pitcher because his charged pitches do not curve, which means he will throw the ball straight ahead of him with no curve. And you can predict where the ball is going to be every single time. And at that point, it's just a matter of timing based on whether or not he went for a partial charge, full charge, or changeup. Well, but the fact that you don't have to worry about left-right really helps in terms of like getting solid contact with the ball. Left-handed batters, this is a little bit complicated, but generally speaking, left-handed batters have better contact zones for clearing the stadium entirely. And right-handed batters generally have an easier time with base hits done on slap swings. That's not universally true, but I don't want to get into the details. If you're really curious about asymmetrical batting, I can tell you more, but just trust me on this. Lefties charge, righties slap. That is the way of things. Aim for full charge and perfect contact. Get that chemistry, get that power bat. The Captain Star swings are generally not very efficient, but I will say for Wario, who has a star swing that is relevant for hitting home runs, his can do it. Especially if you have dash spikes. Pretty much nobody else is going to, practically speaking, to get a home run off of their star swing. With Bowser, I've managed to do it once using save states. It's really, really hard. And it was only possible on Yoshi's Stadium with the aid of a Piranha Plant. So, yeah. And like I mentioned, the bros pool their home runs. So if you get a home run as Fire Bro, and then later in the match get a home run as Boomerang Bro, you've cleared the goal. Because it just needs to be 2 home runs done by bros, and they can add together. Oop. Smack a hit with a charge swing. This is a meme goal. King Boo and Bowser need to get home runs, and in order to get home runs, you probably charged your swing. So, I listed it for completeness. Hooray. Donkey Kong. Belt a homer with Diddy and Dixie Kong as runners, also called the Kong home run or Banana Slamma. So Diddy and Dixie must both be on base, providing chemistry to Donkey Kong, and you can also have a third runner. Or not, it's up to you. You just need to have Diddy and Dixie, and then it can be anybody else for the third spot, including Petey, who provides chemistry to DK. So DK can have triple chem if Petey Piranha is his third runner. I recommend using bunt tricks and, weird edge case tricky batting to get Diddy and Dixie on base because they're not the best batters, but you just need to get them on base however you want. Power bat is really good. Donkey Kong doesn't really need the help. There's no kill like overkill, so might as well get it anyway. Other than that, it's just the same as other home run goals. Back-to-back home runs with Bowser. Like I said, it's not back-to-back. And I just want to really point out, it says right there, the home runs only need to be in the same game. Only in the same game. They can be different innings. Bowser and Bowser Jr. can be anywhere in terms of the roster order. In the same game. It does not matter when they are hit. If the match ends and Bowser has hit at least 1 home run and Bowser Jr. has hit at least 1 home run, you clear the goal. Bowser Jr. is much harder to hit home runs with because his trajectory stats are unfortunately not very good. So prioritize getting Hammer Bro, Bowser, and Magic Koopa chemistry to Bowser Jr. Probably the Bowser chemistry you're not actually going to be able to supply him because you also need to get a home run as Bowser, but it's worth mentioning that Bowser does give chemistry to Bowser Jr. and vice versa. But Bowser gets chemistry off of Dry Bones and also Koopa and a couple of other characters. So he should be getting chemistry from the Dry Bones, whereas, for Jr. it's Bro and Magic Koopa. And you also want to space them apart in your lineup so that both of these batters can get as many chemistry partners as they can as possible, and they're not stepping on each other's toes. So Bowser Jr. 4, Bowser 9 is something that I'll very often go with in a Bowser Monsters speedrun, just because, really space them apart and give them full opportunity to load the bases with the people who they like. And then Power Bat and Wario Pitcher, because it's a slugging mission. Now for RBIs, which is a little bit different. Wario needs to get 5 RBIs in one game, Paraguma needs to get 3 RBIs in one game, and then Koopa, Dry Bones, and Daisy need to get 1 RBI. That's actually very easy, so I don't really think I need to say a whole lot there. Just score a run once. It can even be like a squeeze bunt. But Paraguma, and Wario, you're going to want to put them fourth in the lineup. 3 and 5 are also okay. You want to lead off, so, press Y during the pitch as if you are stealing. But ideally, you're going to hit, the ball is going to land fair, and then your runners are just going to have a huge head start that will help them score. That's what I mean by leading off. With Wario, he can do charged swings and he can use the phony ball, but you should remember that both of those are inconsistent and not necessarily the best. But they are options. I mean, you should see how you feel. I feel like Wario is pretty mediocre as a batter, but he is a power character, so yeah, well, you can basically handle that however you want. Squeeze bunts are great if you only need one more. So, think ahead, try to remember your roster order, and remember if you have Paragoomba or Wario coming up, how many more runs do they need? If it's just one, you might want to try and set up a squeeze bunt or sacrifice play scenario. Chemistry is always helpful, of course, as are dash spikes and the power bats. But you might also remember that in some fielder's choicey situations, the RBI will not count. In particular, if there is a rundown, if the ball reaches the third base person and then they try to throw the ball to home plate, even if you win that interaction, it doesn't count as an RBI for the batter. It's considered an error by the fielder instead, and you will not get credit. So count very, very carefully. These are their characters with RBI goals. Those RBI goals are redundant. Get a hit with, drive in a run against, or belt a home run with Mario. So, yeah, Wario, it's a home run, and home runs are hits, so it's actually only one goal. The one goal is redundant with the other goal. Donkey Kong, it's an RBI against Mario, same as Baby Mario, and Diddy Kong just needs a hit. These are just the same as the other missions, except Mario must be the active pitcher on the play. And the easiest way to do that is just start the match against Mario, try and get the goal. If you don't get it, reset the match. Because there's a stamina, right? A stamina counter where every run that a pitcher allows and every star pitches that they throw spends a point of stamina, and captains have 7. So if you're 6 runs allowed, the next run that you drive in will make the pitcher tired if they didn't use any star pitches. If they did use any star pitches, then they're already tired. And you also want to be careful if a pitcher throws star pitches, that might deplete their last stamina point and they are tired during the rest of that plate appearance. So it's something very important to keep in mind. But yeah, you should just consider restarting the match entirely because Mario starts out his matches on the mound. And then you can, hit by pitch to losses or whatever else you need to do. But with Wario, dash spikes and an outfield phony ball can get you the home run against Mario. That's my preferred strategy for Wario Greats now at this point, rather than going for a charged hit because I don't like Wario's batting very much. It is essentially a coin flip, assuming that you got good trajectory on the hit, which is not terribly hard, but not free either. So, 40-45% chance of success of getting that home run that you need, assuming that the Noki guesses incorrect on the garlic. But maybe you feel better about that than going for the straight up hit, even with chemistry and power bat. I don't know. Dash spikes and phony ball can work. Squeeze bunt and sacrifice bunt. So again, leading off is pressing Y during the pitch as if you were stealing, but ideally you make contact with the ball, with the bunt in this case, and it goes fair and lands on the ground, in which case you have a nice head start for your runners. Sacrifice bunt means any runner was leading off, stole the base during the pitch, and advanced a base through the play. So maybe they moved from first to second, maybe they moved from third to home. It doesn't matter. It can be from third to home. It doesn't have to be. But for squeeze bunt, it has to be a runner on third, and they have to lead off, and they have to score. So it's a little bit more specific. Squeeze is harder than sacrifice bunt, but all squeeze bunts are sacrifice bunts. So you can rest easy knowing that. The batter can be safe at first, or they can be out. It doesn't matter. That is just not relevant to the game's determination of whether or not it was a squeeze or sacrifice bunt. It just doesn't matter. What matters is, was it a bunt? Did the steal happen during the pitch? And did the runner get to where they need to go? What happens to the batter? Irrelevant, as long as they bunted. Dash spikes are really great for this, especially for getting your batter safe, which isn't necessary for the goal, as I just mentioned, but is very helpful if you're trying to win the match. Something to be careful, though, is the inverse of bunt luring, which is you don't want to give away that you're bunting until just before you do the bunt, because you want third base and first base to be far away from home plate. So bunt at the last second. You do not want to lure the corner infielders if you are actually bunting, right? Do the opposite of what you actually want to do, switching at the last minute to what you want to do. That's how you do it, whether it's bunting or not. And then aim for perfect contact, because the higher your contact quality, the more centered more straight up towards pitcher, towards center field, the ball's trajectory is going to be. Sour contact on a bunt is going to lead to a lot of foul balls. And if you send a ball foul on the third strike, you will be out on the bunt, notwithstanding foul balls ordinarily not ending the play. So be careful about that. Reach base on a bunt with the bases empty, which is actually bunt hit. The goal description is misleading. You just need to get a hit under normal hit conditions via a bunt, but it is easiest with the bases empty because you run no risk of creating fielder's choice-like scenarios that would cause your hit to be invalidated. So I recommend doing this with the bases empty just because it's the cleanest and fastest. And if you're really just trying to grind this goal out, put the batter first in the lineup, reset the match until you get it. And again, bunt at the last second. Don't lure the corner infielders closer to you. These batters, Yoshi and Monty Mole, are lefties. Keep them lefty. Keep them lefty because lefties actually are advantaged in terms of getting to first base. They start closer to first base. And that's whether they're batting or swinging or anything else. So keep these guys lefty. Trust me on this. And also try and send the bunt to the left. So remember, you can use the control stick to influence the trajectory of the ball a little bit. Hold left because in order to get the bunt hit that you want the ball going towards third base for either the third base defender or the pitcher to pick up. The best opponent in my experience is Wario. The sand of his stadium actually slows down the ball slightly, which is very teeny bit helpful, but it's noticeable if you pay attention to it. And Wario's pretty slow with his fielding arm. Same with Magic Koopa. And aim for the Magic Koopa on third base if you can. And seriously, get dash spikes. This is like the most important goal for dash spikes. Cross home plate X times in one game. So Yoshi, Noki, and Monty have to do 3, although remember that the Nokis pool theirs. Baby Mario needs to get 2. Paragoomba and Paratroopa need to get 1. This is the goal that Paragoomba actually has. He does not have Crack a Long Hit. He has this goal, but it's just cross home plate once, which is pretty easy. And then Bowser Jr. and Diddy, their goals are redundant. Diddy's going to get his with Kong Home Run, assuming that you do that goal as DK. So you don't really have to worry about it if you're doing DK Kongs are all superstars. It's already accounted for. But the character is early as possible in the lineup, just so that you have to do less batting in order to accomplish the goal. You want really competent, really surefire batters immediately after them, including the line drive star swing. Get the scorer on base any way that you can. There are a couple of like weird niche techniques that you can use to get characters on base. I'm not going to go into them now, but there's, like fake squeeze and first replacement. I can tell you more about those if you're curious, but those are good ways to get batters who are not very good at batting onto first base. Dash spikes are good. Also good is ending an inning right before the scorer is up to bat, so that they get to start a fresh inning, with 0 outs and no base runners potentially hurting things. And it also does not matter how the run is scored. The runner can steal home. That's fine. The runner can be batted in a home run. That's fine. It just doesn't matter. They just need to score. I think that's pretty much everything there is to say about scoring. Steal a base more than twice in a game, but again, that actually just means steal twice. Baby Luigi and Goomba need to steal twice. These other 4 characters only need to steal once. You want to time the Y press for just when the pitch starts. And if you do that, you will get yellow text and the steal will be a lot faster. You also hopefully wanted to have done that on a charged pitch because that will give you more time. A tap pitch is going to go by a lot faster. You will not have as much time. So you can retreat and cancel the steal by pressing the X button twice once you have control of the base runners. The computer generally does not punish you super hard for this under most circumstances. Whereas if you've got good timing or you think that you can make it, just start mashing B. And make sure that you have your dash spikes because, ooh goodness, does it make a difference. So I really like stealing from first to second against Yoshi. I think that's generally like the easiest way to get this mission done is to just do that twice. But on pretty much every stadium, stealing from second base to third base is just really hard. On Yoshi, it's basically impossible, but anywhere, it's just going to be difficult. I think the more realistic path for Baby Luigi and Goomba is just getting it on 2 separate plate appearances where they get their hit to first base and then they steal from first to second twice. And it's not the fastest, but I think it's overall more viable than trying to steal twice in a row. And stealing home is almost impossible unless you get really cute with it, so it's highly not recommended. Now, something that's interesting is let's say you have a runner on second base, maybe that's Baby Luigi, and you have a runner on third base. Let's say it's Yoshi. If you send them both to steal, both of them, and Yoshi starts running for home, and the computer, tags Yoshi out, you do a little bit of running around as Yoshi to distract them, and Baby Luigi makes it to third base in the meantime while all of that is happening, Baby Luigi will get credit for that steal. So you can use a runner on third as a distraction or sacrifice to get a runner who is on first or second to their next base, and that is valid and that will count as a steal. So that is a niche strategy that could be useful to you. Crush someone with a body check. Okay, so I want to be very clear about how body check works because this is not obvious and it has had to be figured out over several years. This ability is random. It has a sort of dice roll mechanic. It literally checks a random number to see if it is high enough or low enough. So first, the conditions for activation. It needs to be a character who has body check. Bowser, Petey, and Toad are the characters who have body check missions, but other characters like Birdo and Bowser Jr. also have the ability. So, assuming it's a character who has the ability, they need to be dashing to a base that they are not forced to run to, as in they don't have a runner immediately ahead of them, or immediately behind them, forcing them to advance. So, yeah, a runner that is running to a base that they aren't forced to, you need to be mashing B, and you need to have reached that full power, which is not very hard. You don't need to be mashing super hard in order to qualify, but you do have to be mashing. You shouldn't be lazy about it. You should try and mash as fast as you can. The setup that I like to do is you get this character, Bowser, Petey, or Toad, onto first base with just a slap hit or anything that you want, and you make sure that second base is empty. Then on the next character's plate appearance, right, they're batting or whatever, Bowser, Petey, or Toad, you press Y to start stealing with them. You get most of the way to second base. Then you press X twice to send them backwards. And they start running for first. But before you reach first, you press the Y button twice again, and now they're running back for second. But hopefully the computer has gotten the ball into a position where they are now ready to create a close play. And they are going to, in most circumstances, unless their fielders are really bad, throw the ball such that it creates a close play, and you're mashing B, and the camera should zoom in. If it does, that means that you at least executed correctly. That's the point at which the randomness takes over. So, under the best of circumstances, if you're doing this as Bowser or Petey against a character with weight 0, like Toad, Toadsworth, Boo, or Goomba, you have 70% odds of success. Bowser and Petey can get 70% odds. Toad can only get 35% at best because he is weight 0. And he can only get 35% against another weight 0 character. And he also does not really have the option of doing it against Toadsworth unless you recruited very strangely. So probably it's going to be Boo or Goomba. Body check as Toad is pretty miserable. You have 1/3 at best odds of success. But it's RNG, just give yourself multiple chances and try and take advantage of having multiple Toads if you're playing as Peach. Because it's helpful to just keep throwing spaghetti at the wall until it sticks. So, pitching now. Strike him out or get X number of strikeouts in one game. Peach and Shy Guy need to get 5. Donkey Kong, Boo, and Dry Bones need to get 3. And these other chumps just need 1, which is pretty simple. But just to repeat what I said earlier, safe pitching is a curveball deep inside, followed by a fully charged ball thrown as far outside on the mound as you can with no curve, which will be a strike, unless they hit the ball, of course. And then you just repeat that same strategy 2 more times, and you will usually get a strikeout. The computer will hit the ball if they want to. That's just the way it is. Make sure you're moving horizontally on the mound, though. You want to move horizontally towards the batter for that ball, and you want to move horizontally away from the batter for the strike. That the computer is paying attention to where you are on the mound when you throw the pitch. And if you don't move around on the mound, they have an easier time hitting the ball. So it matters. Move around on the mound. Trust me on this. Star pitches are generally a bad idea. The star pitches should be better in the game than they are. But the fact of the matter is, they're just not very good. So I do not recommend them. I think you should just do the safe pitching strategy and just leave the team stars alone. Use them for batting instead. Now, something that's important is that strikeouts are credited to the pitcher who throws the third strike. So something that you very much can do is get 2 strikes as a good pitcher and then switch to whichever one of these chumps needs their strikeouts. I would say that all of the 5 pitchers that have multiple strikeout missions are actually pretty good pitchers, so you might not want to do that, but it is an option, including for the ones who only need to get 1. Pitching's different, everybody's kind of different. You might have your character who you prefer to pitch as. You can at least get 2 strikes as them and then switch, and it will count. Strikeouts credited to whoever threw the last strike. And it is slightly easier to get a strikeout if the computer has a runner on third or 2 runners total, 2 or 3 runners, 2 or more runners, because their batting strategy will be different and will involve them swinging a little bit less. But that's also a little bit risky because that means they might score if they do get a hit. So there's a trade-off there, but it might be worth it. Just something that I thought that I would mention. Next, targeted strikeouts. So these characters have targeted strikeouts. Diddy Kong, for whatever reason, has 2. He needs to get a targeted strikeout against Birdo and a targeted strikeout against Baby Mario. I don't know why they did that. I know those are characters that both have red things on their head, like Diddy Kong. So presumably he's judging them for their fashion choices. But I don't know, man. He's got to do it. He's got to do it twice. Everybody else has got to do it once. So plan your playthrough to account for these because you might lose your chance to get this goal if you recruit the character who you are targeting. Don't recruit them by accident. So something to remember is that you can bean other batters to cycle through the enemy lineup. This is especially helpful for reaching Baby Mario, who is 9th on Yoshi's lineup, I think under every circumstance. So you get your strikeout against Birdo, and you're enough runs ahead, you can just get a whole bunch of hit by pitches, move on to Baby Mario, and hopefully strike him out. That's useful for forcing the goal if you don't actually care about winning. Use the same safe pitching strategies as I recommended earlier. The Super Ball isn't really all that worth it. I find that it makes pitching actually a little bit worse, which is really strange, but that's just my experience. I just think it's a waste of an item. Stadium does not really affect the goal in terms of completing it or the conditions. Like Bowser Jr. can get Strikeout Mario playing at Mario Stadium or at Bowser Castle, right? Because Mario is going to be batting at both of those stadiums in a Bowser playthrough. But it doesn't matter where. It just needs to be Mario, It's location agnostic. And as I mentioned before, another pitcher can get the first 2 strikes and then pass the baton to whichever one of these guys needs to finish the job. You can also use Bowser Jr. encounters to set up a defense scenario and try and get the strikeout that way. It's a very niche option, but it might be important if you've recruited the captain of the character who you need to get this from, Luigi or Birdo or whatever, and that character happens to be with Bowser Jr. You can force it by repeatedly starting a match, quitting it, and then encountering Bowser Jr. again, because that respawns Bowser Jr. Okay, pitch a whole game and win, or pitch whole game win, PWGW. So this is extremely important for this and the next 2 goals. The pitcher must be on the mound from game setup. So at the time that you're selecting your roster before you hit start game, you need to be on the correct character. Because even if you switch to the one that you want on the very first pitch, before there's even been a throw, you have invalidated the goal by switching pitchers. There cannot be any pitcher switches at any time for any reason, or you cannot get the goal. This is tragic. I can't tell you how many times I've scored 10 runs and been so excited. Wait a second, why is PD still on the mound? Peach needs to shut out. Oh no, right? You gotta be very careful in game setup is the bottom line. I won't belabor the point any more than that. And even in the case of these guys where there's color variations, you can't even switch to a different color of the same player. This isn't a cumulative goal, right? Where they're pooling their efforts. No. So you need to be careful not to tire out these pitchers, or you're either going to need to void the goal or pitch tired, which is very dangerous. That said, overall the parameters of this are pretty simple. Make sure that they are on the mound, don't switch them off, and win. That's it. It's pretty simple and not complex. But a little bit more complex is win with a shutout or shut out a person's team and win. So PD needs to shut out Mario's team, and Peach needs to shut out Bowser's team, which is necessarily going to be in the last game that is played against Bowser at Bowser Castle, in a playthrough in which Peach is doing this mission. So First of all, make sure that you're playing against the right opponent if you're trying to do it against Petey or Peach. Petey, I'm pretty sure, can do it at Bowser Castle, which is the last match of a Bowser playthrough. But I don't recommend that, especially since Bowser can play Mario as many times as he wants at Mario Stadium. You might as well just do it at Mario Stadium, because then you don't potentially lose or complete the playthrough by accident, since you can't complete the playthrough at Mario Stadium. So, same concerns about making sure that the right pitcher is on the mound from game setup. Do not switch them at any time for any reason. But also, your opponent must score 0 runs. You can allow hits, you can allow walks, you can allow hit by pitches. As long as their score is 0, you're good. Though be careful with Peach, because as I mentioned, the playthrough will end if she earns this goal. So make sure you've made peace with the playthrough and are ready to move on and carry on your progress, New Game Plus. But also keep in mind that mercy rules and star difficulty can make this goal a little bit easier, as a way of sort of like ending the match faster and creating fewer opportunities for the computers to score, or having the computer be worse. It's just easier to get a shutout on star difficulty, so that's worth noting. And now, the pitching mission par excellence. Mario Perfect Game. Pitch a perfect game and win. Mario must be on the mound from game setup, and he switch at any time for any reason voids the goal. Same rules as before. Now, though, you can't have any hits, walks, or hits by pitches. The opponent must never reach first base, and the score by definition at that point is going to be 0. But no hits, no walks, no hit by pitches. Use maximum safe pitching. Play against a bad opponent. I think Yoshi is a bad team, and therefore a good choice of opponent. Mercy rule victories definitely make it a lot easier. And this is a goal that you can do on star difficulty, where the matches are 3 innings by default, and it is a lot easier, assuming you're not playing at Bowser Castle. But yeah, I think you can make this match easier, the match in which you're getting perfect game. You can make it easier by getting lots and lots of runs. If you score 10 runs in the first inning, okay, now you only have to play a perfect game for 1 inning rather than 3 or 5 or 7. So you can lean on your batting to make this mission a lot easier, and I highly recommend doing it that way if you can. Sorry. Make a big play, which I just call big play. So there's different kinds of big play, right? And I sort of have like names for them, and I think there's 6 main types, right? There's a reflex big play, in which you jump or dive into a fly ball shortly after contact is made. Or alternatively, you jump or dive into a fly ball that is very far away from the outfielder's initial position, and you run a long distance, and then do a dive at the end or a jump at the end in order to get the ball. That can be a big play too, and that's technically a reflex big play. The formula is complicated, I won't go into it, but that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is the scoop, in which you slide to pick up a fair ball, but then throw it to the plate for a force out. Pretty much always that's going to be first base or second base, I guess, but you should plan to do it at first base, because that's the easiest base to load and the easiest base to do this, because the batter takes a longer time to get to first base than any base runner is going to take to get to their next base. Next is the gunner big play. You need the runner to be in the outfield. They need to have, an outfield position, left field, right field, or center field, and then their throw needs to beat the runner to home plate. Typically, you are going to be accomplishing that with the laser beam ability, which will make your ball fly super fast if there is a runner on third or heading for home. So, laser gunner, more or less. But you don't need laser beam to do it. For example, Petey could do it. He doesn't have a big play mission, but he could do it. So, there you go. And next is the aerial big play, which is if you jump and then the character sort of catches the ball at a moment where it's high above their head. Like the ball needs to be high above them during their jump. That will award a big play. Weird how that works, but it's important. You can try and farm this by getting, fly balls to the outfield and just jump at the right time to get a big play that way. I don't prefer to do it that way, but you can. Some people like doing it that way. And then also on top of those 4, wall jumps and clambers, which is to say wall catches, are always big plays by default. And that is why Dixie actually does not need to worry about this mission. She needs to get a wall catch, which means she's also going to be getting a big play. So you don't need to track this goal as Dixie. If you get the wall catch, she gets this also. So there you go for that. I think the best way to farm for big plays are to have your big player on second base or shortstop to try and get scoop and reflex big plays. And this last bullet point, put chemistry on first base for faster scoop throws. This is really important. So for Birdo, put Shy Guy or a Yoshi on first base. For Dry Bones, put Bowser on first base. For Mario, put Luigi on first base. Same with Peach. And for Shy Guy, you can do it with Birdo. Big Toadette and Toadsworth can have a Toad on first base or Peach. Point being, you really, every second counts, every moment counts, every frame counts when you're trying to get one of those scoop big plays. So make it easier on yourself and put chemistry on first base. That's overwhelmingly the most likely way that you're going to get a big play in a vacuum, unless you're farming for something more specific. Third base and outfield can work, as I was mentioning, for farming, jumping catch, aerial big plays, or you can also potentially get reflex ones there too, or try and go for a gunner one. But I like second base and shortstop. That's what I found overall leads to the most success. Now a weird one. Catch the ball more than 5 times in a game. PD 5 catches. And the reason that Toadsworth is over there at the bottom is because he has catch the ball as one of his missions. It's actually mechanically the same as PD's, except he only needs to catch the ball once instead of 5 times. 1 catch is a pretty trivial goal. I think you can manage that. I believe in you. You can make Toadsworth catch the ball once. It's okay. He's probably going to do it as part of a big play anyway. But for PD, getting 5 catches is a lot more difficult. Technically, you can do this in a Bowser Jr. encounter, which is really, really hard but possible. Other than that, though, you're probably just going to be doing it in a long match. And the last bullet point is, it's easier if you're not trying to win the match, because you are going to be pitching to contact in order to try and get balls hit to wherever PD is. So in order for the catch to count, PD needs to be the first fielder to handle the ball, and he cannot bobble it. And that doesn't matter whether, if it's a bobble that is like a fly ball and then the ball lands and goes fair, it won't count if he picks the ball later. If the ball has gone fair and he bobbles before picking it up, that also will not count. So he can't bobble at all. He needs to correctly pick up the ball on his first try in order for the catch to count. Really annoying that that's how it works. But that's how it works, and I have hard evidence. So there you go. Now, here's an important point. The catches do not need to result in outs. They can, and he can do whatever he wants with the ball afterwards, including throwing it to the base for an out, but he doesn't have to. So you can just keep allowing hits and then picking up the ball, and then doing whatever you want. But it doesn't matter as long as he just picks up the ball correctly and he is the first fielder to handle the ball, as I said. The best spot to do this is center field, because usually often as infielders, you can just avoid picking up the ball and it will go to the outfield. Then, if you are left field and you move your character left of the ball, towards the foul zone, that will often give your center fielder an opportunity to pick up the ball. Same with right field. If you have a character in right field and they move to the right, towards the right foul line of the ball, that also will give the center fielder an opportunity to pick up the ball. But the important thing is to make sure that the ball moves on the correct side of the left or right fielder. You basically want it to go between them. You want the ball to travel between center field and left field or right field, because that will give center field an opportunity. Basically, the fielding AI will think, center fielder could be relevant. I will put them in position and potentially give the player control. So a little bit tricky, but just watch the PDIL to see how I do it, because I very efficiently get 5 catches in the PDIL that I submitted, and it's a pretty good demonstration of how to do it efficiently. But you don't have to do it against Bowser Jr. You can do it in a regular match, and it's fine. And it's a lot easier. Get a runner out with Laser Beam. So the ability activates if there is a runner on third or running for home. The easiest spots for this are center field and right field. Left field doesn't work because if the runner is on third base, they're going to be more nervous about the ball being very near them. So I highly recommend putting the player who you need to do this in center field or right field. But you can do it as the pitcher, which I do as Waluigi under some circumstances. But anyway, in order to get this, you want to do a manipulation where you let the ball go fair and then you wait to pick it up. You want to wait to pick up the ball until the runner is heading for third base. They need to make it to second and start running to third. At the point at which they start running to third, it's now safe to pick the ball up. If you pick the ball up before they make it to second, they're almost certainly just going to stay at second, and then you don't get your opportunity. So at that point, you want to run towards the outfield in order to create a sort of like a close situation. Because the runner might be just waiting on third base thinking, no, I won't make it, no, I won't make it. You have a brief amount of time before the play ends to move your fielder towards the back of the stadium and to the right, towards first base, towards right field, in order to make them think, wait a second, I might be able to make it. I might be able to make it. Hold on. I'm going to go for it. And then they decide to go for it. But you remembered to put chemistry on catcher so that the ball is going to travel even faster. And you also did a smash throw, which is to say you input, down and A at the same time. So like frame 1, you're not pressing anything. Frame 2, you're doing down and A. That will result in a power increase for the throw. So that's an important thing to remember. That really matters, these little things, for making sure that you actually beat the runner, especially for Waluigi, because his fielding arm is pretty bad. You want to also modulate for the base runner's speed. This is easier to do against slower runners, but you also have to give those slower runners a little bit more of a head start before you throw. You kind of want to wait for like about a second. I would say a little bit less than a second. If you throw too early, they will retreat back to third. And if you throw too late, they will score. And so there's kind of a sweet spot, but this is something that's very much worth practicing. So there you go. Tag someone out while carrying the ball. So Monty needs to have the ball in his hands, and he needs to touch the base runner. So force outs never count for this, which is why I would say don't put Monty on first base. It's actually a bad choice. There's two basic approaches to this. First is to put him on second base and wait for a very, very weak hit to second base. Then, just run, grab the ball, and then run tag the batter as they're going to first base. That's like very random. It's not very likely that that's going to happen on any particular plate appearance, but it has the benefit of being relatively easy to execute if you got the right kind of hit. And you can also do a hit by pitch to put a runner on first and potentially tag them instead. That might be easier than tagging the batter, depending on where the ball goes. So you have that option. And if you are going to go this route, I highly recommend doing this against Wario, because Yellow Magic Koopa, Waluigi, and Boo are all capable of hitting the exact kind of dribbler ball to second base that Monty can very easily take advantage of. Those characters are also relatively slow on the base paths, which gives you more time to tag them. So I think Wario is a good choice if you go this way. The other approach is laser tag. You can get laser beam and tag out on the same play. Probably you would want to do this with Pianta, because Pianta's got laser beam, and there's 3 of him, assuming that you're playing as Mario. But basically, yeah, you want to set up a laser beam situation, and then you want to throw the ball on kind of like the earlier end, because Monty has to like finish his animation of like catching the ball and getting into a state in which he can move around again. And at this point at which he can move around again, then you move into the runner who's probably already right on top of you, or at the very least close. If Monty catches the ball and hasn't gotten back into his I'm running around state, you might still get credit for the out, which is good. They didn't score, you at least got them out, but you might not get credit for the tag out. At that point, you would only get credit for the laser. So still good for the laser, but no. Try throwing on the earlier end if you also want to get the tag out. And I would say this is something that you really got to practice. And also check afterwards to make sure that you got it, because I find that it's pretty unclear whether or not you got it. But you can just pause and check stars and just see if you got it. If you're going for laser tag, I think that's pretty important to do that. Hold on. There we go. Jumping catch. So here's something fun about jumping catch. The catch does not need to result in an out. You do not need to get an out with the catch. It does not have to be a fly ball. Something that you can do, although it's tricky, is you can wait for the ball to roll towards your jumping character and then jump onto the ball. As it happens, it's a lot easier to jumping catch a fly ball for an out. And I found that left field and right field are pretty good for that. The infield can work, but I just find that there's not as many opportunities. The computer often likes to hit really, really high fly balls that just don't clear the stadium. And then if you're left field or right field, you have lots and lots of time to just set up and get into just the right position and time your jump just right and get that jumping catch easy peasy. Whereas you don't really have that option as an infielder. With Wario, for whatever reason, his batters like to hit the ball over third base a lot. So like that's a niche option that you can go for, especially if you're playing as the DK Kongs and you have like a whole bunch of different characters that all need jumping catch, and then also the Kongs that need ball catch. So space is constrained, but there you go. Something that you would want to do is wait under a pop fly. You want the drop spot, right? And you specifically want to be a little bit off center of the drop spot. You want to be like a little bit closer to home plate, a little bit closer to the direction that the ball is coming from, because you're essentially going to be catching the ball on its way down before it has reached the center of the drop spot. So you need to do a little bit of like real fast trigonometry. Basically, be between the center of the drop spot and home plate. That's the right place to stand for getting a jumping catch. And if the ball went off screen, a good time to press A to jump is when the ball reappears on the screen, or wait just like a fraction of a moment and then jump when the ball reappears on screen, just for timing purposes. It's a good visual cue. It will serve you well if you do that. And oftentimes you're going to want to do this in situations in which you are baiting out charged swings, especially if you're doing this in the outfield. So I like to do that playing against Mario, and specifically with Piantas, Mario, and Luigi. They like to hit this kind of hit a lot. They also like to hit a whole bunch of home runs, so it's not exactly consistent or anything. But if you keep going, you will probably get it. Peach is also very good because her stadium has very high walls, and the Monarchs are not very good at hitting home runs. But they often hit balls to left field and right field. Sometimes even the blocks can help. So I would say Mario and Peach are the preferred opponents to farm this goal against. Climb up the wall and make a catch. Wall catch. Everybody's favorite, right? No. The best spots are left field and right field, which I found are about the same. So I mean, I've done a lot of wall catch farming, and I really don't think that there's a large difference between left field and right field, or at least that's been my experience. You want to throw easy pitches and bait charged hits. They're going to hit home runs off of you. Live with it. Roll with it. This is a bad goal. You need to give yourself as many chances as possible. Now, you remember to mash B as the Kong in order to run, but then also press A before you reach the wall, because the activation radius for wall catch is actually pretty large. You can jump onto the wall from pretty far away from the wall. You don't need to be touching the wall. You can jump onto it. And also remember that climbing along the walls is fast movement. It's about as fast or even slightly faster than walking. So the fastest way to reach the ball might be to run to the wall, jump on it, and then, shimmy while climbing in order to actually get to the ball. And then the art of wall catching is using the amount of drop spot that is visible to judge where on the wall the ball is going to land. And this is something that I think you get a lot by practice and through feel, but you kind of just need to estimate oh, not a lot of the drop spot is visible. That means the ball is going to be way up high. Or, oh, that's a lot of drop spot. This might only barely reach the wall. And if the ball is only barely going to reach the wall, you can do clamber extension, which is a technique I didn't come up with, but I did come up with a fun name for, which is where if the ball is it's going to land very close to the wall, but probably not close enough that you're going to get the wall catch the traditional way, you can press the A button to dismount the wall. But while you are doing that, during the animation in which you are ejecting from the wall, you are still capable of catching the ball in a wall catch state that will count for the goal. So this is really important for those edge cases where it's you won't get it if you stay on the wall, but maybe if you jump off at just the right time, there's an important timing element to it, right? You might be able to squeeze a clamber out of a situation that wasn't going to produce one. And as before, this is best against Mario and Peach. I don't recommend it on other stadiums and against other teams. Get more than 3 outs in a game using the tongue catch. Oh, 3 tongue catches. Well, unlike with jumping catch, the out must be from the catch. It must be a fly ball. Yoshi must tongue the ball out without any interaction with the bases. So it depends on whether or not you're trying to get this from sluggers or from slappers. If you're trying to do this from sluggers, which I would say, Mario, you're going to want to put Yoshi in left or right field. If you're trying to do this against slappers, which is probably going to be Peach's team, you want to put Yoshi on second bait or shortstop. Both of those are viable. I think in the Yoshi IL currently I use Peach, but Mario is the classic fielding farming opponent and works just fine for this. So something that's important is that Yoshi might bobble with his tongue, but he might bobble it in such a way that you get a second chance at catching it with your tongue. And if you tongue the ball, it pops up, and then you tongue the ball again, and it's an out, you got the fly out, that will count. You will get credit. The game doesn't screw you over for bobbling the ball the same way that it screws over PD Piranha for his 5-catch goal. So as long as you get the fly out with the tongue, if you catch the fly with your tongue, there you go, right? Then Yoshi will get credit. This goal is best pursued in a long match that you're not trying to win, because creating the scenario in which you can tongue catch the ball means risking home runs repeatedly. So you might just want to farm this one out. That's probably the path of least resistance for this. Make a big play with the magical catch. Same as with Yoshi, the out must be from the catch. It must be a fly ball that is caught to immediately score an out. Magic Koopa doesn't slide. He casts a spell instead. But if you imagined, he does that in place of sliding, and that's what you need to do in order to get this. So you really want to be approaching this goal as the Wario Greats before you've removed the Magic Koopas from your roster, because when you remove duplicate characters from your roster, you can't put them back. But as the Wario Greats, keep all 4 of your Magic Koopas, keep all 4 of them in the infield because it's overall the best spot, and then just try. Just try and go for weak hits, pitch to contact, slap hits, and if you just keep going, eventually you will get it. It'll be a line drive, or, if you put them in the outfield, an outfield fly can work. It's just difficult to set up, because if the fly ball is going to land right on top of the Magic Koopa's initial position, you won't get credit for it even if you slide into it, just because of the way that the math works. This goal is really capricious. You might have a really tough time with it. Lots of Wario Greats runs have died to it, but it's Mario Superstar Baseball for the Nintendo GameCube. Try not to worry about it too much. Don't let it get to you. Make a double play with Peach. So this actually pairs very well with Peach's double play. With Peach's big play goal. You want to put Peach second base and Daisy's first base. You need to bean a batter, hit by pitch, in order to get a runner on first, right? Because there has to be a runner in order for the double play to even be possible. And then bait a slap hit such that shortstop, second base, and first base can work together to get the ball to second base and first base in some valid order. Here's something important. Daisy and Peach only need to be involved in the play. They don't need to throw the ball to each other. So something that you could do is, there's a ball. It goes towards second base, but it goes fair. Peach picks it up. She throws it to Toadsworth on second base, and Toadsworth forces out the runner that was running to second base. Out number 1. Then Toadsworth throws it to first base, where Daisy is. Daisy catches it before the batter gets there, forcing them out. Out 2. Good. You cleared the goal. That's a double play with Peach. The ball was picked up by Peach, thrown to Toadsworth, and then thrown to Daisy. That's good enough. They just need to be involved in the play. They don't need to throw to each other. So there you go. That's how that works. And because you're going to want the ball to be going to the infield, you do not want to be doing this against charged hits. So pause to clear charges from batters who are charging up. With power batters, they're going to be charging up basically in every case, so don't worry about it. And also remember, you can't do this goal if you have 2 outs. When you score the first out of the double play, the inning immediately ends. So you are just going to have to do it on a different inning if you get 2 outs. And also, just don't do triple plays. Triple plays do not work. If you get your second out, stop. Even if you could get a third, just stop, because you will not get credit for the goal. And I feel very silly that happened to me twice. Catch a booted ball. Oh, God. Okay. There's a lot that I can say about this goal, but all I'm going to do is teach you about the setup, because the setup is the only thing that matters, okay? Please use the setup. Do not farm this goal in the outfield. Don't do it. Just use the setup. And the setup is not very consistent. The setup has low chance of success, maybe 10-15%. It's still better. It is still better than farming in the outfield. Trust me on this. Use the setup. Just play against Mario, restart the match if you don't get it. Okay? So, what you need to do is you need to have Baby Mario as the pitcher. You want big, large characters with large hitboxes on second base and shortstop. So, Magic Koopas, DK, Waluigi, and Bowser are the best. And the Shy Guys actually are a little bit better than Yoshi and Birdo. I know that Yoshi and Birdo visually look bigger, but Shy Guys' hitboxes are like just a little bit bigger than Yoshi and Birdo. And then Baby Luigi is obviously a bad choice, so don't use him. But Shy Guys, if you're using Yoshi's default team, are better for this. So, challenge Mario, bunt away the top of the first inning. You just don't do any offense. Just move on, because the main thing is you don't want Mario to spend any of his team stars. You want him to be at 5 team stars, right? So no team stars spent on fireball pitches. Just bunt away the top of the first inning and get to the bottom of the inning as fast as possible. Next, bean the 2 Nokis. Baby Mario has enough curve on his pitches to be able to do this consistently. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to spend a team star. Just move towards the Nokis. The Nokis are lefties, right? So you move right on the mound to get close to the Nokis, and then you hold right with a tap pitch, and you will hit the Noki, basically every time. And there you go. Once the 2 Nokis are on base, that activates Mario's AI subroutine for, wait a second, I might want to star swing. How many team stars do I have? And because you did the setup, he has 5 team stars, which is maximum odds. So not all the time, but a lot of the time, Mario will be thinking, okay, all right, it's fireball swing time. Let's fireball swing. And so you want to pitch an easy one to him. You want to throw the ball straight down the middle, or curve it slightly inside to make it easier for Mario to hit it. The point being, you want Mario's fireball swing to make contact with the ball. And then it's RNG, because it all depends on where the ball goes from there. It is possible that the ball will go straight for one of the infielders. It can be first base or third base. More likely, it's going to be second base or shortstop, but just basically, an infielder is going to see the ball headed towards them, and you, because you're mashing A and holding the correct position on your control stick, are going to jump into the fireball, because you don't want the fireball to travel over the head of your infielder. But if you body block the fireball, you are likely at that point to bounce the ball up towards the pitcher, Baby Mario, who is ready to catch it. And also, shoot, I didn't put this down in the slides, but this is very important. You only get credit for booted ball if it results in an out. It does need to be a fly ball. You don't get credit for catch a booted ball if the ball was fair at the time that you bobbled it. So it has to be like this. Mario's Star Swing is the only consistent way of setting up a bobbled ball scenario, because luckily, being on fire and letting go of the ball before you can catch it counts as booting the ball for the purposes of Baby Mario's mission. If it didn't, we would be screwed, man. It would be so bad. And it's already still bad, but at least there's a setup that we can do. Catch the ball as Baby Mario, and you will clear the goal. And just reset the match if you if you miss it. Don't try multiple times in the same match, because Mario's team stars deplete, and it's just agonizing going through the lineups, yours and theirs, over and over again, just to start the match over. Beat character's team, which I just called Defeat X. So the character, Birdo, Dixie, or Baby Mario, needs to be on the active team during the win. That's the only condition. They don't need to do anything. They don't need to have any kind of special status. They just need to be one of the 9 players at the point at which you win. And for Bowser Jr., you have to win his scenario. A tie is not good enough. But there you go. You can't do Birdos or Dixies on a Peach playthrough, and you can't do Baby Marios on a Bowser playthrough. But you can do it on any other playthrough, assuming that you recruit correctly. And something important, I mentioned this earlier, but just enter and forfeit a match to change your roster and respawn Bowser Jr. So if you don't have this character on your team, you can enter a match to change your roster, give up immediately, and then you're set. And if Bowser Jr. isn't on the field, you can just start a match and then forfeit, and Bowser Jr. will be back when you go back to the overworld map. And you're always able to do this by definition, because worst case scenario, you just do this against Bowser. If he's the only person you can play against, it's still fine. You can just respawn Bowser Jr. infinitely. So that's nice. You have essentially as many tries as you want. Although remember, Bowser Jr. will take half of your coins if you lose to him, so be careful. Next, MVP. I talked about the additive point system a little bit, but You only get these after winning a full match, so Bowser Jr. cannot help you clear this goal. Bowser Jr. overworld encounters, I should say. If there is a solar pitcher who pitches a no-hitter or perfect game in a match that is scheduled to be 5 or 7 innings, they will be the MVP automatically. So on star or lower difficulty, on matches that are not played at Bowser Castle, that rule does not apply. So this is most relevant for special difficulty, where matches are always 5 innings or 7 innings. Otherwise, MVP is determined by an additive point system. Hits, steals, walks, hits by pitches are +1. Strikeouts and RBIs are +3. Big plays and being the main pitcher for the match is +5. That's usually just whoever's on the mound at the end of the match. It diverges a little bit from that, but it's usually just whoever was on the mound when the game ended gets 5 points. Weird, but that's how it works. Home runs count for 10. It stacks with hit and RBI. Batting in the go-ahead run gets you 5 points if the character was out at first, or 10 if they reached first. So the target MVP should pitch and be fourth in the lineup for the go-ahead bonus. Strikeout points really add up. Home runs are very good. Don't get home runs as other characters. And then make sure that your MVP is getting the go-ahead run, because if the go-ahead run points are going to someone else, that's no good. Also, you're only going to get an MVP if you win your match. Otherwise, there's no MVP. So you have to win, which means you have to score, which means you should score with your MVP. MVP in last game. It's the same as MVP, except the last game is the full match that is played at Bowser Castle, right? The match that ends the playthrough. Save before attempting this goal. Save your game before attempting this goal, because if something goes wrong, you don't want to have capsized your playthrough. You can end a game without meaning to. It's happened to me before. But if you've saved your game, at the very least, worst case scenario, you just reset and try again. So please, save your game. You want your MVP LG to be the pitcher and fourth in the lineup if at all possible. Avoid point gain as other players. Don't go for home runs as anyone other than your MVP. Try to avoid stacking other missions on top of this goal because it's very, very sensitive. And especially, this is in a very niche scenario that basically only applies in all superstars, but let's say you were trying to get Birdo MVP in last game at the same time as Peach Shutout Bowser and Peach Strikeout Bowser. In that scenario, you really want to allow a Dry Bones base hit to avoid triggering the no-hitter MVP calculation bypass, right? If it's a no-hitter, Peach is going to be the MVP. So with one of the 2 Dry Bones that is at the top of Bowser's lineup, just let him hit a dribbler. They can hit a home run against you. They're very not likely to. But just, let one of them on base. You need to get down to Bowser anyway, and then just throw 3 strikeouts. And hopefully, if you're getting a first inning mercy, that's enough to just end it right then and there. But you also really want to do it that way because the longer the match goes on, the harder it is to make sure that Birdo is the MVP instead of Peach, because Peach is going to get points from strikeouts. So there you go. Let someone go shopping for you. This goal is a meme. All you need to do is have Toad and then buy something. It is very, very easy. You will accomplish this by working on any of your captain goals related to star items. So that's all there is to say about that. Pitch and bat with your star ability ball and win the game. Pitch, bat, star, win. So 6 characters have this goal, right? Bowser Jr., Daisy, Diddy, Peach, Wario, and Yoshi. The playthrough captain is who you are as the overworld, right? Who you're as on the overworld. That is your playthrough captain. Their star ability costs 1 team star. Everyone else, including the main sidekick of your playthrough captain, Luigi if you're playing as Mario, their star abilities are going to cost 2 team stars, which means you need to keep an eye on your team stars that you're starting with initially. You start with team stars based on your player's chemistry with the captain. So with Yoshi's team, the Shy Guys do not have good chemistry with Yoshi, and you might want to replace them with characters like Mario that do, in order to have more team stars. But there you go. That's what determines that your initial team star count is chemistry with the captain. You should plan on only doing one of these per match because this goal costs a lot of team stars to complete. And you don't want to put yourself into a situation where you need to get and earn stars from star chances or stage hazards in order to accomplish all of your objectives. Plan on 1 per match. And don't spend stars on other star abilities until you've managed to secure this one, right? And so by that, what I mean is, for the star pitch, you need to throw a star pitch. Any result is okay. Hit, foul ball, doesn't matter. Hit by pitch even, doesn't matter. So, and the way that you know that this worked is if you see, the little flashy two-dimensional colorized art and the little noise. That's how you know you did it. It's very clear to know when it was valid. And also, the star pitch is the easy part because you just decide to do that. The star swing is a little bit harder because you do need to make contact. If you miss the ball completely and spend a team star, that does not help you towards this goal. And also, you just wasted a team star. Oh no, I hope you have spares. But any result is okay. You can score runs or not. You can go foul or not. You can get instantly caught out. That's fine. It does not matter. It simply does not matter. As long as you make contact, see the little animation, hear the little funny noise, and watch the carnage. That's all that needs to happen. For the really bad star swings like egg and boomerang, I like to try and aim for a foul because I do not want to have to try and play the game after activating them. I want to do a regular normal hit that actually will be more likely to work instead of trying to deal with egg or boomerang. I dislike those star swings very much, yeah. And you can aim for a foul on purpose by swinging very early or very late. Drive in a run with a star ability swing. Wow, what a memorable goal, and certainly not something that I completely forgot about in my first draft of the slideshow, and had to create a slide for and record a segment for the next day. Anyway, Mario has to use the fireball, Donkey Kong has to use the banana ball, Bowser needs to use the killer ball. It has to be on offense, right? But the run has to be on the same play that you make contact with the ball. So you can't miss with the star swing, and then that will not lead to you clearing this mission. You'll have to hit it on the next pitch. And also, you can't just hit the ball with your star swing, watch it go foul, and then try and score a run on a regular swing immediately after. You'd have to use the star swing again. I tested this. So unfortunately, you do have to use the ability in order to get the result of a run being driven in. And there's no secret trick to get around it, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because these 3 star swings are overall pretty bad. They are very, very inconsistent. Fireball can get body blocked and caught. Banana can be very easily caught by an outfielder. And then the killer, oh man, how many times has the killer ball just been snatched up by a jumping second base or shortstop defender and then into a quick double or triple play? It just happens. It just happens, man. So that's why I always try and treat this mission like I'm making a sacrifice play. So before Mario, DK, or Bowser is up, put a runner on third, make sure that you have at least 1 out to spare, but 0 outs is of course best. And then tag up, call them back with XX, make sure that they're not actually leaving third base until you're sure they have a chance to score. That's, I think, the best way to get this mission done, assuming that it's urgent. And just like with star swing, pitch, and win, what you're looking for is for the little animation and the noise with the little 2D graphic. It's colorful for each character and sort of shows off their swing right now. If you see that and then you score a run, you will clear the goal. Something that's important with star swings is that the better your contact quality, the better the trajectory of the ball. It's a little bit strange how this works and what's considered good trajectory or not, but aim for perfect contact, because that usually sends the ball higher, and it usually sends the ball in a way that's more difficult for the fielders to defend. And that's true for all 3 of these characters. So yeah, that can be very helpful. Worse quality swings are more likely to be caught by the defenders. I've confirmed that in my own play. So take it seriously, just like you're doing a regular slap hit, but remember to hold R, and remember that you need team stars. Which is why another important thing is you need to be careful with conserving your team stars. These are not strategic goals to pursue alongside a star swing pitch win from another character. Or you wouldn't want to do these 3, you wouldn't want to do more than 1 of them in the same game, right? More or less 1 team star mission per game is a good sort of guidepost, because you do need to take care of them all in your playthrough, but trying to manage more than 1 per game is tough. That said, while 3 of these characters can be the leader of a playthrough, and if they are the leader of the playthrough, the one that you pick on character select and you get their default team, and the one that you run around on the overworld as, their star swing will only cost 1 star, which is obviously preferable to it costing 2 stars, which it will be if you use it when they're not the playthrough captain. So all things being equal, these are great goals to take care of when you are the relevant character on the overworld. Is a little bit better. And then also, a lot of people don't know this, but if you get a charged perfect contact swing and you hold R and you have 5 team stars, you get a special animation. The game will take all 5 of your team stars, and then you get an instant moonshot home run. It can go foul, but if it doesn't go foul, it's going to the moon. Automatic home run. This works for every character, including like Baby Luigi can get easy home runs with the 5-star swing. Now, the 5-star swing is very funny. Does it count for this mission? No. I also tested that. It's just really a shame because I would much rather do that than use the star swings, but they defined the goal in such a way that using this cool hidden ability just is not relevant. So if you were thinking that, I thought about it too, and oh well. But there you go. That's Star Swing RBI. Okay, back to me from yesterday. Get a team star. So as I mentioned, 30% odds every plate appearance except the very first if the bases are empty at the beginning of that plate appearance. At least one team must have fewer than 5 team stars. And here's another important thing that I didn't mention earlier, which is you will clear the goal if you earn a team star despite already having 5. The game will not give you a team star, right? It says, okay, you were already at your max, nothing happened. But you'll get credit for the goal. So you don't need to spend a team star in order to become eligible for a goal. You do need to spend a team star in some situations in order to make a star chance happen. That's why you would want to spend a star. But yeah, once you've got the star chance, then you're good. Then you just need to make sure that either the character that you were trying to get this goal for is at bat or on the mound. Because stars are earned by the active pitcher regardless of who actually does the hard work of getting the out. So maybe you have Noki pitching, and then you see a star chance, and you're thinking, Monty needs team star. I'm going to put him on the mound. Go ahead, swap Monty on. You will have a great chance to get that done as Monty. Just get the out at that point, by any means necessary. Something that you can do is allow inside the park home runs to farm star chances. The reason that they need to be inside the park home runs is because you need the bases to be empty. And every time you allow an inside of the park home run, all of your opponent's runners and batters score. So the bases are empty, and then you just move on to the next person, and you can do that up to 10 times, right? Or up to 9 times at least, always, before you lose by mercy rule. But that's sort of like a relatively fast way to just repeatedly get a lot of chances, 4-star chances. Make sure that both teams aren't at 5 team stars, though, and spend 1 if they are. One setup that you can do is to put this character second in the lineup and have the first batter waste a star and be out on the play so that the bases are empty. That gives you a solid chance at a star chance on offense. I think doing it with defense is overall better and more efficient, but you can do it by offense that way also. Hitting stage gimmicks is not reliable and not recommended. Whether or not you're going to hit those stage gimmicks is just really, really RNG and in a painful way. And this is already an RNG goal. And consider breaking a pitch whole game mission to get Team Star. This is mostly relevant in Captain Run contexts like Mario Sunshines. Actually, it's pretty much only relevant for Mario Sunshines, but you might want to break Noki pitch whole game win in order to get Monty Team Star, just because of the speed that you have to go for that category. So keep that in mind. Hit a note block with the ball. Right. So a good explanation is too complex for this slideshow, but you're going to want to do the RNG manipulation from a new file or from like New Game Plus, but basically starting a new playthrough. I have a video, I have 2 videos on this, a 5-minute overview tutorial and then a 30-minute like in-depth explanation with more details. You can find those on my channel. I'll put them in the video description here. But yeah, basically you soft reset the console and set RNG to a known value, advance it a consistent number of times in order to make Bowser Jr. move in a predictable manner on the overworld, stand in the right position to generate the correct encounter, and then do some batting as the Toads, get to Toadette, hopefully have triple chemistry, and then charge and swing for the note block. That is the fastest way to do it. Otherwise, you would have to recruit Toadette out from under Peach and then play against Peach, which is easy if you're Bowser, but slow and really annoying because it means you have to reset the match manually, and it just takes a long time. So please just watch the videos about how to do RNG manip. You only need to watch the 5-minute one. It will explain everything that you need to know. And then you will be all set to get Toadette hit a note block at the beginning of your playthrough. You're still not going to have great odds of success because unfortunately it's a very hard goal, but the manip is the best way to make it happen. Now, what you want to do with the batting is you want to hold R. If you did the manip, you have 0 team stars due to a glitch, but that's actually a good thing because Toadette will hit the ball, I think, approximately 13% stronger if you try to do a star swing when you have 0 stars as Toadette. 13% is like very much an off-the-cuff number. It's not a very large boost, no matter what, but I don't know. It helps. Everything helps. Also, hold down on the control stick to increase the probability of the ball going high. If you get low trajectory, you're not hitting the note block, so go high. Chemistry partners are very helpful to Toadette, so for her, that's just going to be Toads, right? Try and load the bases, since you have to anyway, more or less. And then you also want to swing on the later side. And by swing on the later side, I mean towards right field, because Toadette by default is a righty batter. And if you swing on the late side, the ball will go towards right field, which she's a little bit better at hitting right field. And also, if you do the RNG manip, there are a whole bunch of note blocks in right field and not as many in left field. So there you go. You can watch the longer video if you want an explanation of that. Also, keep in mind, swinging changeups is not recommended because it's very difficult to hit them with the timing that you want. It's very easy to hit them like early. It's very difficult to hit them late, and you want to be hitting them late. So I would say let changeups pass without you swinging at them. And just hope that Bowser Jr. throws a better pitch. Clear all mini games. So here's something that's important. You need to win the 5 non-toy field minigames: Piranha Panic, Bob-Omb Derby, Wall Ball, Barrel Batter, and Chain Chomp Sprint as the specific character who has the skulls. So you do literally need to pick Waluigi or Toadsworth for all 5 of the minigames. They have to be the ones playing the game. Also, it has to be in one playthrough. Partial progress does not carry over between playthroughs. So you need to allocate one minigame from all 5 of the minigames, 3 attempts each, to Waluigi or Toadsworth. You need to plan ahead of time and be like, all right, I'm reserving one of every minigame for Waluigi on my special difficulty playthrough because I want to clear his goals. The minigames themselves can be on any difficulty. You just need to win. And ties for first are okay. You need to be named one of the winners and have, little victory spotlight and victory animation and voice line play, which will happen if you are tied for first. Save before each minigame, reload if you lose. Spend your money, don't waste it by overfilling your wallet. And also, after you clear this mission, consider buying the secret map, because now the secret map is in the shop. Clearing all minigames like this is the precise condition for making the secret map available for purchase, so that you can start working on the toy field goals. Piranha Panic. All 5 of the characters that need to play Piranha Panic can do so on easy. You might want to play on hard for more coins, because I think that Piranha Panic is overall one of the easier minigames, and you can get very good at it. But you don't have to. You can just play on easy. All of these goals are easy on easy. So the main advice that I have for Piranha Panic is always use bombs on the piranhas. Never press B to use them on the Shy Guys. And make sure that your bombs are going to piranha plants that aren't about to die. Freshly spawned ones, just in case, because what you don't want is for the computer to throw an egg just ahead of your bomb that kills the piranha plant and makes your bomb miss. But you're going to be getting the bulk of your points from bombs and from hitting the purple piranha. So the purple piranha appears at 39 seconds left and 9 seconds left. Keep that in mind. It's always the same. And you always want to keep cycling through eggs to get more bombs. So you should never be waiting. You should always be either throwing eggs or pressing B to toss bad eggs or throwing bombs. Because the goal is to just get more and more bombs. Keep scoring points. The way that you win this is by scoring more than your opponents. It's not by trying to sabotage your opponents. Do not throw the bombs at Shy Guys. Baby Luigi wants to get a large lead and then hide. You want to play extremely careful, and you want to hold down on the control stick literally until the point where control is taken away from you after the timer reaches 0. There's another 2 seconds of gameplay where you can get hit after time expires, and it voids the goal. So just keep holding down. Keep holding down until the victory music plays for Baby Luigi. Trust me on this. You don't want to have what happened to me happen to you. This minigame is good to farm coins from. And also something that's important is Yoshi needs to get 100 points. He doesn't need to win, but if you scored 100 points, you probably will win. So there you go. But if you happen to lose, you should know that you'll still get the goal. Bob-Omb Derby. Mario must play on hard, everyone else can play on easy, and I recommend that everybody else play on easy, but Mario must pick hard. There's no real fancy tricks for this one, it's just about learning the timings. The King Bob-Omb can be at Mushroom Flower or Star Speed. The question mark can be at Mushroom Flower, Star, or Fireball Speed. And I know everybody loves question marks that turn into fireballs. You need to be ready for them. This just requires practice. Also, there's always exactly one King Bob-Omb per match. Always. So you should just know that. A second one isn't coming. And also, one is coming if one hasn't arrived yet. Wall ball. We've learned that the walls have hidden HP values that are pretty arcane. And the way that it works is that Bowser walls are a little bit thicker than brick walls, but brick walls and note walls are actually exactly the same. Like they have the exact same amount of health. Weird how that's how it works. That's not how I thought it worked, but it has been confirmed. So there you go. Now, one of the big obstacles for wall ball is first wall. Let's say that the note wall is the first wall. If that wall is fresh, as in if it just spawned and it wasn't hit by the previous pitch, then you want to do a minimum charge, hold A for just long enough to make it a charge pitch as opposed to a tap pitch, and then release A immediately. If the first wall was damaged by the previous pitch, because yes, if you throw a pitch that doesn't clear through all of the walls, it will partially injure the last wall that it does hit. If it's a damaged first wall, tap for a curveball. It's impossible to tell visually whether or not that will work or not, but probabilistically speaking, it is the correct move. Damaged first wall, tap. Fresh first wall, minimum charge should work. Now, for the last wall, just do always full charge. A full charge will always work, and it's very, very easy. Unfortunately, under some circumstances, the penultimate wall might be mathematically impossible to hit. And if that ever happens to you, you say Mario Superstar Baseball for the Nintendo GameCube, you smile and look at the camera, and then you move on, because that's wall ball. Peach doesn't need to win, just score 300 or more points. Just like with Yoshi, if she scores 300 or more points, she's probably going to win, but you don't have to worry about winning. You just need to worry about scoring 300 or more points. So focus on hitting the note wall 3 times, and don't worry about the toads. They're irrelevant. Goomba must be the only winner. This is a situation in which there cannot be ties for first, unlike with other characters and other situations. So because Goomba needs to have more coins than all 3 of the toads, play on easy, so that those toads have as few coins as possible, and hit the Bowser wall a lot and give you their coins. That is what I recommend for that. Barrel batter. So Luigi wants to play on hard. Everyone else can do easy, although Daisy might want to play on medium. So the way that you aim for the row is with the stick. Hold down on the control stick to send the ball up, and hold up on the control stick to send the ball down. The way that you can think about it is like the control stick represents the direction in which you're moving the curved bat, and the ball is going to bounce off of the curve. So that's why it's opposite, But that's how it works. Column is determined by timing. Early will result in being near you. So if you're a right-handed batter, if you swing early, that will go to left field, the columns that are on the left. And if you swing late, it'll go to right field, columns that are on the right. And then it's reversed for lefties. This game is really hard. I recommend that you save scum. This one kills me all the time whenever I'm doing it as any of these characters or a Bowser for Bowser Monsters runs. See if you have a preferred handedness. You can press X on character select to change the handedness of your batter. And if you like righty or lefty better, you can always be lefty or righty. It's up to you. Daisy doesn't need to win. She just needs to hit the bonus barrel once. It is possible to win without hitting the bonus barrel on easy. It's pretty much impossible to do that on medium, though. So I recommend that if you're trying to do Daisy's mission, you do it on medium, just so that you don't accidentally kick yourself out of the minigame before accomplishing the objective that you need to do. And then also, once you hit the bonus barrel, you're in good shape. You can just let all the balls pass and wait it out if you want to. You don't have to win from that point. You might want to for coins, but you don't have to. Chain Chomp Sprint. Everyone can and should play on easy. Because medium and hard difficulties for this minigame are brutal. Easy is already a little bit tough, where you can't slack or be caught slipping. But yeah, just trust me, play easy for this. Your momentum and maximum speed increase the more gems that you have, which unfortunately leads to a little bit of a rich get richer effect. But that's why we save before we play mini games, so that if something goes wrong, we can just try again as many times as we want to, instead of being artificially limited to 3 tries. Sometimes you might want to stand still. So just remember that, like, if you're running, counterclockwise, the normal direction that runners run, you can press X once to stop and stand still, and then press X another time to go backwards, or press Y to resume going forwards again. But yeah, you single tap opposite the direction that you're going to stand still. And that might be strategic, so that you can catch gems as they're spawning, stay on the red gem as it spawns, or stand still just so that in case Chomp, activates, red light, you're not caught slipping. You're just already standing still and don't need to do anything else. Try to be where the Magic Koopas are not. That's the best advice that I have for trying to win this minigame or score a lot of points. I would advise only picking up mushrooms if the Chomp is returning back to home after having just chomped at people, because if you get the mushroom, you will be very vulnerable to the chain chomp if it decides to call red light immediately after you pick up the mushroom. Mushroom's dangerous. It can be good, but I don't think it's that good. It's best when you know that Chomp isn't going to actually be calling red light for a while. So there you go for that. And Birdo doesn't need to win. She just needs to finish with 30 points. It says collect 30 gems, but the red gem counts as 10 gems. You don't need to worry about that distinction. There's no semantic bullshit. Basically, if her score is 30 or higher at the end, she gets the goal. She doesn't need to win, though. So if a Magic Koopa beats you, you just shrug it off and keep going. Same with Wario. Wario does not need to win. He just needs to get a red gem. Play normally, but keep an eye on the corners that are closest to you, because it could appear at pretty much any moment. But there's always 2 red gems. One will appear before the 30-second mark, and one will appear after the 30-second mark. That's pretty consistent. So just so you understand when the red gems spawn for Wario's purposes, that's pretty important. Toy Field. Wario doesn't need to win, he just needs to finish with 200 or more coins. If Bowser Jr. or Dry Bones beats him, that's fine, as long as his number at the end is 200 or bigger. And Luigi just needs to get first place, and a tie is okay. He just needs to clear it and be declared one of the winners, or the only winner. The key to winning Toy Field is to always, always, always aim for control of the ball. And that means becoming the batter and then batting the ball away from the fielders. Sliding catch is extremely effective. You can use sliding catch to basically give yourself just a little bit more time to gain control of the ball before the game, switches away from it and makes whoever they were going to make the batter. So practice sliding catch often while you're playing Toy Field. It makes a huge difference whether you're using it or not. While you are the pitcher, just do safe pitching. It's a little bit slow, but it's worth it because Toy Field is incredibly volatile, and if you are batting, you are in control. More so than if you don't have control of the ball and are not batting. The best strategy, especially for these two, given their batting styles, is to charge and push, so hit late, to hit the 2-base hit and 3-base hit panels on the opposite side of the mound, or of the home plate from you. So you want to send the ball away from you with a charge late hit, and that will work very often. Try not to hit the coins or slots panels because the coin panels are bad and the slot panels can kill you. Also, when you are fielding, protect the slot panels because they can kill you. There's really not a whole lot of situations in which you want to allow a slots to be hit if you could otherwise prevent it. So that's what to guard, if anything. Also, consider that if you have a large lead on turn 10, you might want to bunt to pass your turn. When you bunt, the worst thing that can happen really is the pitcher catching your ball for 50 coins taken away from you. But if you're Wario and have 260 coins, you can be like, yeah, no, fuck this. I'm just bunting. I don't want to risk hitting a slot and losing it all. So here you can have it, bye. Or you could strike out and lose 30 coins. So just keep in mind that passing your turn is an option, and it might be the strategic one if it's the end of the match. Now for a couple weird missions. Wario, become a captain and win more than 900 coins. So Wario needs to be the overworld captain, which means he needs to be the one who you're walking around on the overworld. But if you're using Team Swap, Wario can have any team as long as it's him, with his face in the corner of the screen on the map. The way that you clear this is by winning a whole bunch of mini games in a row. As soon as your wallet says 9xx number of coins, that is when the goal is cleared. So it will tell you either after the mini game that pushed you over the top or after the Bowser Jr. encounter that pushed you over the top. That is when it will check and give you credit. So you can save scum to avoid losing coins to a failed minigame or a Bowser Jr. loss. And that is highly recommended because that sucks. So there you go. Save before doing things that might lose you coins. Choose whichever minigames you like. I like Piranha Panic and Bob-Omb Derby because I think they're generally speaking easier and have less bullshit in them. And you're never locked out of this goal because in the very, very worst case, you just repeatedly respawn Junior and beat him for 100 coins. You do that 9 times, you clear the goal. It might take you a while, but you never lose access to Bowser Jr. because in the worst case scenario, you just enter a match, even a match against Bowser, and then forfeit that match to respawn Junior. So you're good. And be careful because losing to Junior means losing half your coins. Become a captain and round up everyone. So it must be on a special difficulty Peach playthrough with Peach on the overworld. If you're somebody else on the overworld, you cannot clear this goal. You need to recruit all of Mario's team, all of Wario's team, all of Yoshi's team, and all of Donkey Kong's team. You can't recruit Bowser's team as Peach, but they don't make you. You should be able to clear that goal before you go into Bowser's castle to fight Bowser. Mercy rules are the most efficient way to do this, because then you don't have to fuck with scout flags at all. But in the worst case scenario, unrecruited non-captains will flee to Bowser Jr., and entering and forfeiting matches respawn Junior infinitely. So you're never locked out of the goal, Keep playing matches against the computer until you've recruited their captain, and ideally all of their players too. But then if you need to recruit their players, go to Bowser Jr. to do that. And just win Bowser Jr.'s scenarios over and over. There you go. And now just a brief little taste of, my thoughts about the different kinds of runs that there are and their appeal. So there's 32 different individual level runs. They're all interesting in their own way, and I enjoyed routing them quite a lot. And you can see on the left a little sampling of Luigi's run, it took me 41 minutes to complete. But then Hammer Bros I managed to do in 2 minutes. So there's a lot of variation. The captain runs are all now under an hour in terms of the world record, but are, I'd say, pretty close together. It varies real wide here. So you can do the ones that you want and ignore the rest. That's totally fine. Now, 5 characters still need to do full playthroughs, and those are the characters with last game missions, which are Peach, and then Bowser Jr., Birdo, King Boo, and Luigi. But other characters do not have to do full playthroughs, and will not end up doing full playthroughs, assuming that you're playing things efficiently. So, some of the runs have minigames, some don't. Team swap is allowed, which can lead to shenanigans, like one-match Toadette, who I think in my PB gets big play against herself. If you are interested in team swap, you can apply it in some ILs to a positive effect. Many characters can be finished in a single match, especially the non-captains. So, Boo's pretty easy. Get 3 strikeouts, get a shutout, and get 2 hits. You can do that in one match. Hey, that's fun. So, there's some pretty chill and good ones. And they're great ways to hone your skills and have fun. Junior encounters can also help if you know how to use them strategically and incorporate them well. So the IL world records are great tutorial videos because by definition they solve all of a particular character's goals. So if you're struggling with a character, watch the IL. At most, you've invested 41 minutes of your time, but hopefully you will have learned something since they are the focus of those runs. Superstar % Bowser Monsters, a category that is very near and dear to my heart, since I'm going to be performing it for Frost Fatales, March 12th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, which is where I'm at. But this is overall the easiest and most manageable of the captain runs, or the team runs, right? So there's 6 different teams. And this team just has 4 characters to deal with. And none of them are super bad. Bowser Jr., I would say, is a little bit annoying, but he's not the worst in the world. The hardest goal for this category is Bowser Jr. home runs with Bowser, because Bowser Jr. is bad at hitting home runs, and any goal that requires you to hit lots of home runs is just open to a lot of randomness. But even then, that's the worst goal, and it's not that bad. This is the simplest, shortest, and most approachable runs, and that's despite the fact that you actually have to play 6 full matches of baseball, which the other runs do not have to do. Wario has to play 6 matches, but he loses one of them. Everybody else does 5. So it's weird that how that works, but the goals really are the main factor in length. So there you go. Lots of slugging, only a little bit of the other stuff. You have a targeted strikeout, and Dry Bones needs to do 3 strikeouts in one game. Dry Bones has big play. There's 4 of him. You only need to get 1 big play. There's hardly any fielding, really. It's mostly slugging. You only have to play 1 minigame if you do it on hard difficulty, and you can choose which one. I choose to play it as Barrel Batter because it's the fastest, but you could also do Bob-Omb Derby, and you're losing 20, 30 seconds, maybe, assuming that you play well, so that's not that bad. But however, because it's always full speed, runs are fragile. You can finish this run in 6 innings. That has been done by Milky too, in 33 minutes and 44 seconds. It has only ever been achieved once. That is the only run that has ever cleared this category in 6 innings. So, yeah. But that also means things really, really need to go right. You need to get all of the goals in 18 fielding outs, and 18, only first inning mercy rule wins. So you're getting 10 or more runs in the first inning all 6 times. That's pretty fragile. Requires a lot to go right, but it's a lot of fun. And Bowser's team is pretty good. So I recommend doing this one first if you're interested in doing team runs. Pretty much everybody agrees that Bowser is the best captain to start with for team runs. Wario Greats. So there's just a lot with these 6 characters. They have a lot of goals, and very few of those goals are redundant. So no one goal, I would say, is like category defining bad, but there are many tough ones, and balancing them all is the big difficulty. You have to do a lot of slugging. You have to get 3 shutouts at least during the run. You also have to do a whole bunch of fielding, right? Because King Boo has a jumping catch, Magikoopa has magical catch, big play, PD has 5 catch, Waluigi has laser beam even also. It's just a lot. And MVPs to manage too. So this is the one that has the extra Mario match that's optimal to lose on purpose, because you can't get Wario strikeout Mario and Waluigi strikeout Luigi at the same time that you get PD shutout Mario. And so you have to do an extra match for the strikeouts and then do the shutout afterwards. Or at least that's how I've decided to rep the category, and I think that's what makes the most sense. You also have to play a lot of minigames because you've got a toy field to take care of and some other minigames on top of that. So you really need to master everything the game has to offer. But I think it's overall like a long but fair run. And like all the others, it is now under an hour, the world record. So you can get it done pretty fast, despite the amount that you have to do. Mario Sunshines. The Mario Sunshines is a pretty mediocre team. I think the Nokis are pretty good. And the Nokis are pretty good. And then there's 6 other characters on this team. And including them all. I despise them all. Mario Grand Slam is hard just because Mario's batting is so mediocre, and he gets chemistry from characters who you need to recruit, right? He gets chemistry from Yoshi and Peach. So you can't have triple chem until you've won at least 2 matches. And he needs that chemistry because his batting is seriously mid. Also, Monty 3 scores is really, really, really tough. Just because the mole is bad at getting on base, and you're trying to go at full or near full speed. And in order to get Monty 3 scores, you need to be playing a match that has at least 20 plate appearances in it on offense, which can be a 1-inning match, but will it be a 1-inning match? Probably not, which means you need to balance how many runs that you're getting in the first versus the later innings. You need to be careful about scoring and all that. It's just a mess. There's a little bit of fielding, but you can combine Pianta Laser Beam with Monty Tag, and that handles half of what you have to do. Luigi still needs a jumping catch, and Mario still needs a big play, but those are okay. Those characters are at least good at getting jumping catch and big play. Reasonably good. And Pianta Home Run is tough, but thankfully you have triple Noki Chem from the very beginning, so it's not that bad. You have to play each minigame once, but and I guess you also have to get specifically 2,000 points for Barrel Batter and Bob-Omb Derby. And the Barrel Batter is hard. Bob-Omb Derby's, I'd say, overall fine. And yeah, I hate them all. I want to say one last time that I hate them all, but this run is good for practicing the fundamentals. It doesn't make you do anything like super weird, I would say. And it's getting faster. I feel like this is one of the team runs that has the most room for improvement as things currently stand, and I've been working on it for quite a while. Superstar % Yoshi's Islanders, striking a wet match. So the problem with this run is that you need to get Baby Mario Booted Ball. And the problem with Baby Mario Booted Ball is that if you want to have a reasonable likelihood of success, you need to do the setup. And the problem with doing the setup is that doing the setup is not very compatible with playing the first match fast and also getting a lot of good goals done in the first match, which is normally pretty important. Team runs are reset heavy. Usually they reset in the first match. They don't usually make it past the first match, which is always why it's exciting when they do. And unfortunately, the fact that any attempt is gated behind booted ball means that you are just going to be doing lots and lots of resets. And the more that you prioritized non-booted ball goals, the longer those resets are going to be. Everything is gated by whether or not Mario decides to use the fireball swing and where he decides to aim that fireball if he does. And it's pretty grueling, but once you've made it past Mario, it does get significantly easier, and it's also a lot more open-ended. So there's light at the end of the tunnel that you will be crashing in repeatedly. That's just kind of the way it is. Also, Yoshi is the only character that has 10 goals, none of which are redundant with each other, which is just way too much. And 3-ton catches and 3 plates are bad. I know booted ball is like the run killer, but Yoshi 3 scores and 3 tongues, those are hard to get. In a run where you've also gotten booted balls, especially. So thankfully, the mini games are easy, but this run is good for learning how the AI works because you need to do a lot of fielding, including the booted ball manip, and you also need to do some specific batting. I guess not too much, though. But the pitching's actually real easy, and the mini games are fine. So emphasizes some things and luck, but not others. Superstar percent DK Kongs, Infinity Monkeys typewriting Shakespeare. So this is the most luck dependent, I think, of the 6 runs. It is really, really difficult to finish one of these runs because you have Diddy and Dixie's wall catches, you have Paratroopa and Paragoomba's jumping catches, and then you have got a lot of batting, a lot of pitching, and Donkey Kong's laser beam also to worry about. It's a similar thing as Bowser where it's like, theoretically, you can go at full speed. He doesn't need to play any long matches, and he doesn't need to play more than 5 matches. But are you realistically going to get all of his defense goals done in 15 outs? Probably not. So who are you going to farm against? My answer is Mario, but that, like I mentioned in the slide, makes the match weird. You also need to be very careful about the targeted goals. If Diddy Kong and Donkey Kong don't get their hit and run against Mario, respectively, in time, your run's dead if Mario gets tired too early. Also, Diddy Kong needs to get both of the targeted strikeouts, and Baby Mario is the end of Yoshi's lineup, which is really annoying. Assuming you've managed to make it past Mario, and Mario was your first match, you still have targeted goals that could kill you. 2 of them waiting for you in the next match, which presumably you do Yoshi next. I don't know why you wouldn't do Mario and Yoshi first in this category, but maybe there's a reason. Nice thing is you only need to do 1 minigame, sort of, because if you want 400 coins, you need to play wall ball on hard, but if you're playing wall ball on hard, you might be forced to tie with the Toads as Goomba instead of beating them outright. So 1 wall ball, if you're lucky, score enough points, and the Toads don't tie you. But you do need to play another wall ball on easy if they do tie you, so that you can then get a true win and clear the goal. You have enough coins, but you still need the goal. You need both in order to finish and purchase DK and Diddy star items. So really unfortunate minigame luck after the already heinous fielding goal and targeted goal luck. But one nice thing about this run, in contrast with the other 5, is there's no missions that need to be done in the last game. You can finish Donkey Kong's team in 3 matches of baseball only. I've done it. It's not terribly hard if you're doing it deliberately and taking your time. The last parts of the round, you can be in like full go mode. You can have all of your characters superstar. Now, you do need to play out the last game because completing the category also requires completing the playthrough. DK is the only team that doesn't have to complete a playthrough in order to complete their team, but you still need to do both. So, but playing a Bowser match with 7 superstar players and duplicates is fun. It's nice. It's nice to be in Bowser and not feel like everything is fragile and scary. You still need to get a first inning mercy rule, ideally, and that's stressful in its own way, but it's like not having goals, at least it's something. Running this improves your patience and defense because you are going to need to get very lucky and you're going to need to try a lot. Peach Monarchs. Very, very hard. And not hard for the reasons that it used to be hard. So you might notice that for hardest goals, Note Block is not listed. Note Block is not the hardest goal in the run anymore. It was. It is not anymore. Now the hardest goals are Peach round up everyone and 5 MVPs. Because let's assume that you want to finish this category in the minimum number of matches, which is 5. All 5 of Peach's team need an MVP goal to take care of, which means you need to have a different MVP every time. But you also need to be mercy ruling all of your opponents, your first 4 opponents, so that you can recruit them, and your last opponent, because otherwise the match is going to be 7 innings. And that's really difficult because Peach's team is really bad. They're not good. They're designed for small ball, and they're not even that good at it. They're designed to get benefits from chemistry. They're not really that powerful of benefits. Like, I don't like batting as the Monarchs, and batting is overwhelmingly the most important thing about speedrunning in this game because you're going for mercy rules. And Peach is really hard required to get mercy rules specifically because you cannot be messing around with scout flags if you're trying to finish the speedrun in a reasonable amount of time. So, unfortunate tension there. But, I mean, the setup that I explained for Note Block at least takes a lot of the randomness out of what was previously the most random goal in the game. You're going to be doing resets for Note Block. They take about 3 minutes each, I would say. You get one good solid attempt every 3 minutes. And that includes the resets if you miss it. Yeah, it's more like 2.5, I guess. Still, once you get the Note Block, it can be like, okay, and now I've just got to do my best. As few innings as possible, get everything done, balance all of the MVPs, do the fielding. There's a lot of fielding too, 3 big plays, and then Daisy Peach double play, which are difficult to reconcile with the first inning mercy rules that you want to get because that's how you go fast, and you also need to recruit all of your opponents. And then Toad is bad at hitting home runs, and he's really, really bad at getting body checks. And you need to get at least one of each before you finish. So there's just a lot of punishing shit in this run, but it is very satisfying to finish, and I was able to get a run done in under an hour after a lot of effort. So I hope that somebody decides to join me and the one other runner that has completed this category so that there's more than 2 posted times. Maybe one day. I mean, Note Block at least has a minute, so maybe. We'll see. And yeah, the last word is that the run is never safe even to the very end because you need to strike out Bowser and shut out his team. If Bowser hits the ball, you're effed. And if Bowser's team scores, you're effed. So have fun with that last match. It's definitely the worst final match of the 6 different teams. So only the strongest will survive. Yeah, pretty much. And last but not least, All Superstars. It used to be 15 hours. Now it's under 7. I loved routing this category so much. Routing this category was what got me going with this game in the first place. And there's just so much to balance in All Superstars, but I really like my sort of answer and approach for the category. I'm very proud of the work that I've put in there. You have to do everything. You have to do it all. And because you're trying to get it done in 4 playthroughs, you need to compress everything and make it as efficient as possible. You have to dedicate an entire day to your life, more or less, to doing an attempt or set of attempts of this category, because it's going to take you many, many hours in order to get through. But the main idea behind All Superstars is you slice up the goals, especially Yoshi's and DK's team's goals, and distribute them throughout your 4 playthroughs such that you don't actually need to do 6 playthroughs. You're handling everything whenever it makes the most sense to do it. And that involves front-loading some of the worst goals, including Note Block, and then also about an hour and a half or so in doing some fielding goal farming, because you really need to farm fielding goals considering how many goals there are for fielding in this game. But you still can't front-load everything. There's always going to be compromises and things that you can't do now and will have to do later. To date, only 5 runs have finished. 4 of those were mine. It's tough, but so satisfying. Like, way more satisfying than Peach Monarchs, just because, well, you're also doing Peach Monarchs, but ironically, the fact that All Superstars is so spread out makes doing the Peach Monarchs goals a lot easier. And the fact that you're sort of like committing, because you can really only approach this as a no reset kind of thing, at least past a certain point. It's like, when you're taking the resetting for a good start out of the equation, I think it's more easy for you to have fun, I think, and just commit to like, I'm going to do the best I can and see what happens. So, yep. Certainly an experience. And then I sort of have my fun little philosophical question, which is like the sum of the team world records now is definitely under 6 hours because each of the teams are individually under 1 hour. But on paper, at least, all superstars is more efficient than 6 captain runs back to back. Because all superstars only needs to play 21 games of baseball and only needs to watch the credits 2 times. Although I guess the credits aren't timed for team runs, but basically it's possible to finish all superstars faster than it would be possible to do the 6 team runs back to back. And of course that hasn't been done because it's really, really, really hard. But my hope is that one day all superstars will be faster than the sum of the captain times. I don't know how much time I'm going to have to devote to that effort, but we'll see. Hopefully this has inspired you or given you some information, and maybe it will be you, and if so, thank you. But if not, thank you anyway for watching this video, and hopefully it has helped you appreciate Mario Superstar Baseball for the Nintendo GameCube in similar a way as I do. And yeah, see you for Frost Fatales.